Mine is working. Test. Mine is working.
Did a plug come out? So this is like the main one?
Oh, I work too.
I'm good.
All right, guys.
This is not going to be a boring meeting.
No. All right, guys, we're ready to start. Good afternoon, everyone. We're ready to begin the December 12, 2017 City of Gardena Regular City Council meeting. Madam City Clerk, will you call for the roll, please?
Noting the presence of all council members.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, do we have anything to report from closed session?
No reportable action was taken.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'm going to ask if everyone can please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight's Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Courtney Wilson and Stephanie Amati. If you can please remain standing for our invocation that will be led tonight by the Reverend Douglas Brown.
Good evening. Please face the flag. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's a pleasure to be here to represent Gardena Valley Baptist Church. And as we serve the city in a variety of ways, we look forward to doing that in additional ways that you would suggest. Let's pray together. Lord God Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, we thank you for these leaders, our governing authorities, the ones that you have selected to promote peace, order, and justice. So we pray for our mayor, our city officials, in particular these council members, asking that you would grant them wisdom and discernment to act with character and conviction, to listen with understanding and goodwill, to speak with charity and restraint. Give them all a spirit of service, reminding them that they're stewards of your authority. May they be leaders who help people in need, preserving human dignity, even with those that might disagree. Give them care for those who are weak and poor, reverence for all. And finally, Lord God, renew us all with the strength of your presence and the joy of helping to build community for all. We ask this in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
You may be seated.
Pastor, don't go away.
Pastor, yeah, thank you. If I could have the two pledgers please come back to the front. So tonight's Pledge of Allegiance was led by two students who attend Maria Regina School, and their principal is Mrs. Lynette Lino, who's the principal. We're going to first begin with Courtney Wilson, who is an 8th grader, and she, along with Stephanie, was selected tonight because she's an outstanding honor student. So, Courtney, would you like to say anything tonight?
I am thankful for being chosen to represent my school by saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, thank you. And who brought you here tonight? Mom, Dad?
My mom and my dad,
And where are they at?
right over there.
Okay, let's everyone give them a round of applause for bringing her out tonight. Also tonight, our second pledger was Stephanie Amati, who was also an 8th grader, and she was also selected for being an outstanding honor student. And Stephanie, would you like to say anything?
Like Courtney said, I'm very honored to be here tonight to represent my school by saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, thank you. And who brought you tonight?
My mom.
And your mom is where?
She's in the car because she didn't think she was just appropriate.
We're going to give her a round of applause anyway. Well, thank you guys both for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And, we're very proud of you guys for being outstanding honor students. And we look forward to you guys coming back in the future. So, again, thank you.
Thank
You can do it. Take your seats now. So also tonight, the invocation was led by the Reverend Douglas Brown, who's a senior pastor. And Pastor Brown, please come on back to the front. He is the senior pastor at Gardena Valley Baptist Church, which is located at 1630 West 158th Street. Reverend Douglas Brown has served as senior pastor of Gardena Valley Baptist Church since May 1st, 2017. For the previous 8 years, he served as senior pastor at Karen Vineyard Church in Nairobi, Kenya. Reverend Brown was raised in Belgium, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and in Israel. He returned to the United States to attend university, followed by graduate work at Fuller Theological Seminary in Pasadena. Afterwards, Reverend Brown became academic dean of Bible College in Israel and eventually returned to California, where he taught at Azusa Pacific University. More recently, Reverend Brown pastored an international church in Kenya, launched the leadership training program for local leaders, as well as a microfinance and business training program in an effort to address poverty. Reverend Brown and his wife, Sue, have 4 children and 8 grandchildren, with another one on the way. He and his wife are looking forward to learning more about the city of Gardena, as well as ways that he and the community of faith at Gardena Valley Baptist Church might serve the city. Pastor Brown, would you like to say anything?
Simply that it's a pleasure for me to be a part of a community that serves the city. We've been involved in things like Keep Gardena Beautiful and the Gardena Heritage Festival, the JCI Festival, things like that. And we are open to other suggestions about how we might serve both the community, our neighborhood, and Gardena. We just want to bless you guys. That's what we're about.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you very much for leading us tonight. Everyone, please give him a round of applause as well. Now, tonight we have a presentation. I believe this is our 3rd presentation that we're now doing. We're honoring a military veteran here in our community. And today's veteran that we're honoring is Mr. Julius Edward Dorsey. And Mr. Dorsey, please come forward here. We're just going to read your bio here. Julius Edward Dorsey is a 45-year resident of Gardena, a native of Alexandria, Louisiana. He came to Los Angeles in 1947, where he received his primary and secondary school education and graduated from David Starr Jordan High School. He also attended Los Angeles Trade Technical Junior College before his military service. He served in the U.S. Army from 1964 to 1966 in Vietnam with the 168th Engineer Combat Battalion. He received an honorable discharge. He was awarded both the Vietnam Service Medal and the National Defense Service Medal. Following his military service, he graduated from Los Angeles Southwest College in 1974, attended California State University, Dominguez Hills, and then was employed at Watts Healthcare Corporation for 49 years. He and his wife, Truvalar Sanford, have been married for 50 years. They have 3 daughters, 4 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. He is a member of Macedonia Baptist Church in Watts, California. And today's military veteran was selected by Councilmember Henderson, and I'm going to just let him say a couple of words as well before we allow you to speak, sir.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for that. I feel as a veteran myself, as my colleague Dan and the city manager know, as veterans, you know, depending upon which theater that you served in or which branch, Vietnam veterans to me hold a special place because unlike some of the other veterans of other world wars and Korean conflict, I was a Desert Storm veteran. The Vietnam veterans to me did not get their just due as far as when they returned home. So anytime that we can honor those that were drafted to go to Vietnam, we want to make sure we give them their roses while they're alive. So that's why I felt that it was incumbent upon me to do this. And that's all I want to say, Mr. Dorsey. I want to thank you for your service to this country. Thank you for your dedication to the city of Gardena. And if you have any other words, that'd be great. We'd love to hear it.
You know, I came home in 1966, and I was welcomed home by family and friends. Nobody else. Thank you for honoring me, taking the time, Mark. But since I've been home, it's been a great life in the city of Gardena. I've been, like we say, we've been here 45 years. And one of the first persons I met when I came to Gardena was Sergeant Majano at the time. He used to come to my house to, you know, chaperone my New Year party from time to time and get free coffee. But I'm just honored, and Mark, I appreciate you. You know, Mark is a member of my church. He's my brother. And it's time that I get welcomed home by the city that I live in, that I love. And I just thank you for your time.
Mr. Dorsey, if you'll please stand here, and I'm going to ask my colleague, Councilmember Henderson, if he'll present you with our Medal of Appreciation here.
That's my baby daughter. She's been in Gardena all her life.
Okay, thank you. Now, next we have a couple of more certificates tonight. These are special recognitions of retirement after a long time service with the city of Gardena. The first one tonight is going to be presented to Lidra Sanchez. And I'm just going to read the first one, and then because they're kind of redundant, but I definitely want to make sure everybody is recognized for the time here. So this first one is a certificate of commendation that's being presented to Lidra Sanchez, and this is an official acknowledgement with deep appreciation for 37 years and 1 month of outstanding exemplary service to the city of Gardena as an administrative management analysis tool with the General Services Department. Lidra, where are you? Did you? Oh, there you go. If you'd like to say anything.
I just want to thank the city for all these years. It's a great place to work. Obviously, I wouldn't be here this long. I was born and raised here, went to school here. Rodney and I went to school together. Yep, I ripped his pants off in the middle of the night. I know. He's never going to let me forget it. Okay. But in 36 years, the city is like my family. It's brought me through births, through deaths, those of you who knew my mom. And it's been just a great place. I've been honored to work here. I leave Public Works in good hands. Joe's terrific. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Everyone, please give a round of applause. And the second certificate we're going to give out is to Fernando Gomez. So Fernando, if you can come forward here. This certificate says this is a certificate of commendation being presented to Fernando Gomez and an official acknowledgement and with deep appreciation for the 34 years and 2.5 months of outstanding exemplary service to the city of Gardena as an equipment mechanic with the General Services Department. So, please. Would you like to say anything?
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, the third one here tonight, certificate of commendation that's being presented to Daryl Lloyd, and this is an official acknowledgement with deep appreciation for the 33 years, 11 months and a half, you couldn't say 2 more weeks? 2.5 months of outstanding exemplary service to the City of Gardena as a recreation program administrator with the Recreation, Human Services, Parks, and Facilities Department. Daryl, where are you? Come on up.
Yes, I think we could have just said 34 years on that.
Yeah.
With my sick leave build-up, it'll be over 34 years of credit. Okay. And I want to thank Fernando for giving me his time to speak up here. So, first of all, the young ladies that came up and did the flag salute, brought me back to the days when my daughters were in here doing the same thing. And I have my youngest daughter here tonight. She's right here on the side. Carrie Cerise now, and her family, and my youngsters. Aiden's waving his hand. Wyatt's named after me. His middle name's Daryl. And my son-in-law, Tyson. Great family, I'll tell you. And unfortunately, our families had preschool celebrations tonight. They got done a little early and split over here, but the other half didn't. But I was very proud of them when they did the flag salute here, too. Very quickly, I just want to go through the group here. Mina and Becky, thank you guys 100,000 times. All the information you've pulled out for me on projects and stuff, wouldn't have been able to, I would have been a lot harder to do it without your help. And if I can give special recognition to Peter Wallen, again, we've probably done over 100 contracts together. And he just laughed at me the whole time. And each and every one of you, Art, you're kind of new, and I've been enjoying your participation. These others have been around forever, it seems like, in my professional life. And I've just enjoyed you immensely, and I really appreciate what you mean to the community. Rodney, thank you for the good times that we've had and will have in the future. Dan Medina and I raised half the youth in the city of Gardena during my time here. He was in youth sports and did everything. And Mark, I've never laughed so loud on the golf course. Thank you for your foursomes and the good times we've had. And Tasha, also very nice to be a part of your programs and to help you whenever we could. And finally, I want to say, Ed Medrano, I just barely got started with you, but I've really enjoyed our time together, and I wish there was more of it. And I just want to recognize just a couple of people from the audience. And is Mitch here still? Yeah. Oh, hi, Mitch. I thought you had camouflage on back there. Mitch has been every City of Gardena worker's mentor, and he's been a very important part of my professional life, and always, whether he knew it or not, gave good information. And it's much appreciated, Mitch. Appreciate it. And then finally, I want to say my boss, Kelly Fugio, it's just been such a pleasure to watch her take our recreation department from the traditional recreation department and bring it into the modern times with child assistance and senior services, along with the sports and other things that we've done. She's just done a tremendous job, and it's been a pleasure to be just a small part of that. And lastly, and I'll get out of here, I just want to recognize my wife, if you'll stand up, please. And we're working on 44 years, and I know I'm not the easiest, so thank you very much. And Yvette, I don't want to leave you out either. Who? Nikki. Oh, Nikki. I don't see Nikki. Oh, Nikki. Nikki and Yvette are staff members that have really been a big part. And I'll get out of here. Thank you guys very much for the recognition.
Thank you. So we have one more certificate of recognition to give, and that one's going to be presented to Ms. Annie Gomez. And Annie, if you can come forward here. This certificate is being presented, and we're extending our congratulations to her for receiving the Youth of the Year Award, which was awarded from the Boys and Girls Club of Gardena. Okay. And I thought it would be most appropriate to present her with this award today. She joined our Gardena Girls and Boys Club. I had the opportunity to hear her speech on last Thursday, and she did an amazing job. And just hearing her story of where she was many years ago to where she's at right now, and winning the competition amongst other young ladies. And I believe she's going to go on to, I don't remember if it was regional or state, before going to the federal level or something. But she's going to move up pretty big. But she's a local Gardena resident, and we have the certificate here to read, and it states, this certificate of recognition is presented to Annie Gomez, and this is an official acknowledgement upon receiving the Youth of the Year Award given by the Boys and Girls Club, South Bay Gardena, on December the 7th. So we, the mayor and the members of the City Council of the City of Gardena, deem it an honor and a privilege to offer our sincere congratulations to one of Gardena's own and extend the city's best wishes to you, and that you will experience happiness and success in all your future endeavors. So congratulations, Ms. Gomez. And if you would like to say anything.
I just want to say thank you very much. I've been living in Gardena for pretty much most of my life, and I feel really grateful that I get to represent my city in a way that it's going to take me far in my education, and as well as for my future career to, you know, do what I love. I mean, I couldn't have done it without the help of, you know, my local Boys and Girls Club. They have been there for me since day one, since I got there. And it just makes me proud that I'm somewhat of a Gardena girl that's going to be representing you guys, and not just you guys, it's as well as my high school, my family, and the people who always been supporting me. So I hope that I get to make you guys proud as well into my success and recognize this city, because I believe this city deserves way more appreciation for being around for a very long time. And thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
I know protocol has been set and everything has been done, but I was so caught up with what was happening here, I neglected to talk to my family, introduce my family, and I just think I would be out of sorts if I didn't do that.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Please, my wife, my daughters, sister-in-law, son-in-law, my 2 grandchildren, and my 2 nephews. And so I just appreciate you giving me the time to acknowledge them. Because
well,
they've been,
hold on a second. Since he took the time to introduce you, please stand up so we can see you.
My son-in-law. Thanks for the time.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, so next we have a proclamation. So proclamation is the Bill of Rights Day, which is December 15, 2017. Also, it's Bill of Responsibilities Day, which is December 16, 2017. And I'm just going to read this very quickly because some people may not be familiar with the Bill of Rights Day or the Bill of Responsibilities Day. And it states here, we the people did ordain and establish a Constitution of the United States of America to secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves and our posterity. And the Bill of Rights of the Constitution of the United States of America embodies the fundamental freedoms and individual liberties that we as Americans cherish. In 1991, the Freedoms Foundation at Valley Forge, in commemoration of the bicentennial of the Bill of Rights, offered a Bill of Responsibilities, urging all Americans to accept the responsibility to secure our freedoms as individual members of a free society. Also in 1991, California legislators proclaimed that December 15th of each succeeding year be recognized as Bill of Rights Day, and that December 16th of each succeeding year be recognized as Bill of Responsibilities Day in the state of California. Gardena citizens do enjoy the blessings of liberty, the guarantees of the Bill of Rights, equal protection of the law under the Constitution, and the freedoms derived from it. Therefore, I, Tasha Sir, the mayor of the city of Gardena, California, do hereby proclaim December 15, 2017, and December 16th, 2017 to be Bill of Rights Day and Bill of Responsibilities Day, respectively, in the city of Gardena, and urge all citizens to be aware of these important days, which remind us of our personal responsibility to safeguard the blessings of liberty and ideals of justice and equal opportunity. Okay, so with that, we're going to move on to appointments. Does any member of the council have any appointments to be made to any commissions, committees, boards, or councils at this time? If not, we're going to move on to the consent calendar. Hopefully, everybody's had the opportunity to read it over. And is there any item any member of the council wishes to discuss separately? If not, can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar as is?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Henderson and a second by Councilmember Kaskanian. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Kaskanian.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Medina.
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Planning and Environmental Quality Commission action sheet. There was no December 5th, 2017 meeting. Their meeting was canceled. We're going to move on to oral communications here. And we have 10 speakers tonight. I'm going to call each one up here. First one's going to be Connie Sullivan, and the second one after that is going to be Terry Kennedy. And I would like to remind everybody that you are limited to 3 minutes, unless it's extended by myself. And when you see the amber light here come on, then you know that you've used up 2 of your minutes. And when the red light comes on, that means your 3 minutes are up. Okay? You can go ahead, ma'am.
Turn the mic on. Right there? Okay. Mayor and City Council members, thank you for this opportunity to talk to you. My name's Connie Sullivan. I'm with the Torrance Refinery Action Alliance, and I'm here hoping that your City Council might pass a resolution in support of a ban of the use of hydrofluoric acid at the 2 refineries in California that use it. Both are located here in the South Bay, one in Torrance and one in Wilmington, the Valero Refinery in Wilmington. We have received support from the LA County Board of Supervisors. We've received support from Kevin De Leon, the President Pro Tem of the Senate. We've received support from the International Longshore Warehouse Workers, among others, and I hope you can join them. On February 15th, in February of 2015, the Torrance Refinery exploded. The Chemical Safety Board investigated and said that we had a near miss of a catastrophe that could have killed tens of thousands of people in this area. And as you know, Gardena sits just east of the refinery. On that day, you were lucky, the wind was blowing towards the west. And so the ash that fell in that direction. But 2/3 of the time, the wind blows from west to east. So Gardena was very lucky that day. We were all lucky that a piece of equipment that flew from the other piece of equipment that exploded, there was an 80,000 piece of equipment that flew towards the tank that holds the hydrofluoric acid, and we almost had a terrible, terrible situation here in the South Bay. Only 2 refineries in the state of California use this terrible chemical, and it's time, we're hoping for a ban from the AQMD, and again, we'd love to have the support of the Gardena City Council for that. And I'd love to have the opportunity to talk to you individually and give you more details, since 3 minutes really isn't enough. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next we have
I have some materials too.
You can leave that with the clerk here. Next we have Terry Kennedy, and after that is going to be Kathy Hernandez.
Good evening, members of the council. A lot of city councils have a person who comes to all the city council meetings, who likes coming to city council meetings. And basically, that's been my role for the last, 30 plus years. And what happens is, when you come to all the meetings, you hear them, you hear you say things and do things. And most of the time, they're routine. Once in a while, they're not routine. And someone like me then takes action, like the time the council increased the zoning land over at Budlong and 141st Street, which really irritated me and my neighbors. And the council voted 3-2 to increase the zone. And we went and got signatures. We put the issue on the ballot, and we won at the polling places 2-1, almost 2-1 against the city council. There were other things too that, that's sort of a negative thing, but you can also be positive. For instance, earlier this year, I asked you to reinstate or to consider the veterans honor that you've done tonight because it was languishing, and you all agreed, especially the two new members, I think. So there's a lot of, I think, flexibility that people don't realize. And when the council increased the utility users tax from 4 to 5%, which they had the authority to do, I asked the council to reduce the age, the exemption age from 62 to 60, and they did. So now, if you live in Gardena and you are a senior citizen, 60 years of age, and you pay your own utilities, you can be exempt from paying those. And so the council did that. And the reason I'm saying this right now is that my wife and I have bought a condo in Claremont. And we're moving over there to be close to our daughter, who has a family, and especially 2 small children who, unfortunately, are not potty trained. And some people might enjoy the thought of me doing diaper duty. In any case, I will be going over there, and I will miss coming here like I have been doing for all these years, and talking to not just you as council members, but previous city council members. Thank you very much. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Next, we're going to miss you, Mr. Kennedy. Next, we're going to have Kathy Hernandez.
Hi. Hi there. I want to thank Wanda Love, the president of the Gardena Valley Chamber of Commerce, for her work supporting the hurricane survivors in Houston. For months, she has been gathering a lot of supplies, and before Thanksgiving, she and some other Gardena residents drove out to the Houston area to distribute these very needed supplies. You have a lot of great people in Gardena in the city, and please support the Chamber of Commerce. They do nothing but spread positivity. A lot of people probably forgot about the hurricane survivors, considering it was like around Thanksgiving, and there's been so many other disasters, unfortunately. I also want to ask the council to please pass a resolution to ban the MHF acid at the Torrance Refinery and the Wilmington Refinery. If you don't know, if the MHF acid is released from its tank, it will turn into a poisonous gas, and it'll seep all over the South Bay. The thing about MHF acid, it leaches the calcium out of your bones. So it's not pretty if you inhale it or if it lands on your body. And that's why the Torrance Refinery Action Alliance is working so hard to get this acid out of the refineries. We did have that, as Connie said, we did have a near miss in 2015, and it could have been disastrous, like Bhopal in India. So they're looking out for the well-being of the South Bay. And, as you know, Gardena is well within the death zone. I mean, knowing that we have this chemical being used in the refinery makes me feel like I'm living next to that we're right by a weapon of mass destruction. So, yeah. And, and also please write to the AQMD, writing a letter of support for Al Marasucci's Bill 1645, and that will be a ban on the MHF acid. Al has bravely gone against big oil to get this dangerous chemical out of the plant. TRAA we just want a safer refinery, want a safer place for the workers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next we have Cheryl Sherman.
Good evening, council members. Cheryl Sherman, Vice President of Friends of Gardena Willows Wetland Preserve. This evening, I would like to start off by saying this coming Saturday is our monthly work day, volunteer work day at the preserve from 8 to 11. And we are looking for lots of volunteers to come help us. The weather, as everyone knows, is not seeming to cooperate with rain, and so we may be forced to try to plant some native plants and give them lots of extra water, which isn't really what they like. They like the natural water. But we have open areas where we've had to remove lots of plants that were killed by the beetle. And so if you'd like to come and help us plant some plants, native plants, and remove some non-native vines, we'd love to have you. If you have any further questions, you can always contact us. Our phone number is 310-217-0681, and you can visit our website at www.gardenawillows.org. I'd also like to share with everyone that being as no one knows what will come of the decision of our federal government regarding tax reform, we don't know what's going to happen in 2018 regarding nonprofit charitable donations. And so this is a year that we know how things are. So I'm going to encourage and suggest that everyone evaluate and take into consideration before December 31st their donations to charitable and nonprofit organizations, of which the Friends of the Gardena Willows is one, as a 501c3. And you can go onto our website to get further information. We also have information at the Mamie Deer Library, here at City Hall. There are flyers with also our membership forms, and we now have incorporated our membership forms to include one form to include all categories: adults, family, seniors, supporting clubs, organizations, business, industry.
Ms. Sherman,
lifetime.
unfortunately, I'm going to have to cut you off tonight because we have a lot of speakers.
I understand.
Okay, thank you for understanding.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
And happy holidays to everyone.
Thank you. Next, we have Wanda Love.
Good evening, Council. City Manager, I am here to bring updates from the Houston trip that we did, and I want to thank Reggie for supporting me. The Houston trip, many of you guys remember the Chamber of Commerce was donated a 2,000 square foot building back in September, and we collected donations of all sorts, from small houseware to baby formula to school supplies to everything that we use on a daily basis. And myself and two other ladies, Virginia Watanabe and Tiana Berghammer, got in a U-Haul truck at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Friday, the week before Thanksgiving, drove over 1,500 miles to Houston, Texas. Keep in mind, we didn't know each other, nor did we know anyone in Houston. But I was given instructions, and I followed what I was told to do. We arrived in Houston at 4:50 on Saturday morning. 3 ladies drove nonstop. Yes, women can do this. 25 hours to Houston. We parked the truck. We met 2 strange ladies that we didn't know. We went to breakfast, and then we went back to their house and passed out for 3 hours on the sofa. We got back up. We went back to the church and unpacked the U-Haul truck at one of the oldest AME churches in Houston, 146 years old. And the amount of goods that we dropped off, they were not ready for. They were able to, we stayed until Monday, and we went to church that Sunday, and we told the congregation a story. No one could believe that an African American, a Hispanic woman, married to a Japanese guy, and a German woman would drive 1,500 miles, packed in a cab, taking turns sitting in a baby seat in a U-Haul truck to Houston. But to see the faces of the people that received the goods, because Houston is still suffering from the devastation of the hurricanes, the church then served over 100 people that Monday. And just to see them coming and getting the basic needs of like a blender or a set of dishes. And then the church had church at a homeless camp up the street, and were able to give the men shoes and suits and new clothes, and seeing them change right there in the middle of the public made it very well worth it to do this trip. And so I wanted to come tonight to thank all of those that donated. I mean, everything. We also served a 100-bed women's shelter where the women had custody of their kids. We also served a men's shelter with men clothes and toiletries and toys. And so I just want to say that when something is put on your heart to do, even if it doesn't make any sense to you how you're going to do it, just do it, because we held the blessing of over 300 people in Houston, Texas, if we would have said no. So I want to thank all of those that donated.
Okay, thank you. And we appreciate your donation as well. Next is Perry Johnson.
Honorable Mayor, members of the Gardena City Council, I'm here tonight to ask a few questions and bring up a subject which most of the people in the audience probably don't know about. It's the Southern California Association of Governments Regional Transportation Plan. For you who are not familiar with that, it has been approved April 2016 unanimously by the Southern California Association of Governments. It's a plan for revamping the transportation system in the 6 Southern California counties. It's $500 billion of spending over the next 25 years. That's a shocking number. It's about 6 times Governor Brown's choo-choo train, which everybody complains about. She's handing out a handout. It's a very short handout. It shows where the revenues are coming from, that they're going to be spending the money on, $500 billion on the second page. The third page shows what they're going to be spending it on. It's also $500 billion over 25 years. I took some of these numbers and I did a small analysis on the yellow sheet. Since I'm a financial analyst, that's what I did for a living. The first calculation at the top says, how much are we going to spend? And it's $500 billion over 25 years. That's approximately $3,800 per household for the 6-county area in Southern California. Each household, each year, $3,800 in spending. Not all this is going to come from local taxes. I also analyzed just the mileage tax. This is the tax they're proposing. For every mile you drive your car, you'll pay a tax. That's the bottom calculation on the yellow sheet. It shows about $660 per driver. So I know some of you on the City Council drive a long way to work. If you drive a long way to work, it'll be more than $600. I'm here to answer a question. Since we're a member of the Southern California Association of Governments, are you going to be doing anything about this? Are you supposed to enact taxes? Are you supposed to come up with ideas to give them? Are you going to present this to the citizens of Gardena, since it's $500 billion in spending? It's a big thing, especially if you're on a fixed income like I am. And I look at that number, $660 more per year just to drive my car. It's encouraging me to leave the state. It's a sad thing to say. If you have any other questions, I'll be available. I believe I gave 6 copies, one for the city manager, I would appreciate if you could ask the city manager and our city attorney, what are our obligations under this?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Perry. Next, we have Joyce Watanabe.
Mayor Serta and members of the Gardena City Council, I'm Joyce Watanabe, South Gardena. I'm here to commend and thank G-Trans bus operator Derek Jones, Line 1X northbound Sunset, this past Saturday, December 9th. I was coming home from an event at Gardena Valley JCI, Japanese Cultural Institute. Derek stopped and opened the bus door right where I was standing at the curb. He waited until I got to my seat at the back of the bus before he pulled away from the curb. And he made a full stop at the stop sign. These are unusual for a bus driver often. So I hope that transit manager Ernie Crespo will put a notice of commendation in Derek Jones's personnel folder. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. The next speaker is Ben Butler.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. I've been up here I've been to these meetings about 3 or 4 times, and I've talked about the same thing each time. The fast cars driven up and down 147th Street between Crenshaw and Van Ness. My wife and I walk our dogs every morning, in the middle of the day, in the afternoon, and the evening. And these cars usually around 4:30 in the afternoon to 5:30, and about 7 to 7:30, they're racing up and down 147th Street. They even pass other cars on the wrong side of the street. This has happened repeatedly. And I think I've asked for a stop sign at Dublin, but nothing has come of it. We really need a four-way stop there. And I've been told that they have to have they can't have any stop sign there because the police cars have to get through there and the fire engines have to get through there. But there's also on where the fire station is over here, there's a stop sign, a four-way stop right next to the fire station. It's a half mile from Western to Normandy. It's half mile from Crenshaw to Van Ness. There's no four-way stop on there. If they can put a four-way stop over here at the fire station, why can't they put a four-way stop over on Dublin? That's what I like to know. Going home in the evening, I see students coming from Sarah High School. They walk down the street, 147th Street, and some of them go out in the street. And these cars just keep coming and coming. They don't care. Many times the cars come out of the side streets, Roxton, spinning, very fast. They don't stop. So it's very dangerous. And I'm trying to impress on you people to put a four-way stop sign there. We had a petition and it didn't go. One time I told this before, I asked a policeman who was sitting there, he asked me, I was telling him suggestions how to catch some of these speeders. And the policeman said, "Are you telling me to do my job?" Well, I'd like to meet that cop again and tell him, yes, I'm telling you how to do your job. I'm paying your taxes, paying your fee, your pay. And you heard what I have to say. And I hope you'll move on this suggestion of putting a four-way stop at Dublin and 147th. We really need it. We really need it. Thank you.
Mr. Butler, if you can speak with Deputy Chief Kang here in the back. He's standing up here.
I hate to say this, excuse me, Madam Mayor, but I've spoken to him before and nothing happens.
Okay, well, I'm going to be asking for a follow-up report on this here. And you know, I'll look into this personally. So this will go to our acting city manager as well as myself and the council. So we'll all be looking at this here because I am familiar with that intersection there, and traffic does go down that street very fast. Okay?
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir. Next is Donna Orr. And then after Donna Orr is Renee Norman.
Hello, Mayor and Council. I'm kind of really scared to death. But anyways, my topic's not really a happy one, probably for you. I was here when you guys were all getting sworn in, and I was in the back, and I wanted to really come in and say what I had to say, and the Lord said, no, it's not time. And I sat in the back, and I prayed for everybody here and everybody out there, you know, that the Lord would watch over all of us. And I'm here about the Lady Luck Casino sign that's out there by the Hustler. It so poorly represents our city when you can have that lady's legs up there like that. And with everything that's going on with all the bad stuff about sexual harassment and everything like that, if that were to be put up, that sign were to be put up in a business, you would be sued for a sexually hostile work environment. And someone could make millions. And I know about these things because I had to go through something similar to this with a company that was big. It devastated me. I lost my marriage, my house, our dog, and I had many complications mentally and emotionally because of it. But I won because I got Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. And He's put it on my heart as I drove by there. And it says, look, she's all in. Let's play poker. I've been divorced for 22 years. I don't play poker. But that's a disgusting sign. And I know Larry Flint has a problem with pornography. And pornography's ruining our marriages, our homes, our family. What about our little kids who walk by? And let me tell you, a day before Thanksgiving, okay, I ride my bike up and down the streets and pray for Gardena. I'm like a little foot soldier. There's no pay in that, but it's an honor. I walk up to 99-cent store, and there's a girl sitting on a bench, and I'm always stopping because I'm in homeless ministry, prison ministry, convalescent ministry. I've been in psychiatric ministry in my church at Calvary Chapel, South Bay. My church is in Gardena. So this little gal, I walk past her and I'm thinking, well, I got a lot of problems. Lord, I'm just going to pray for her. I go to the store, come back out. She's still sitting on the bench. I was able to talk with her. And we had dinner. She wanted to go to McDonald's. I said, okay, let's go to McDonald's. Her mom's in New York. I just got off the phone with her. And I had no intentions of coming here today. And her mom says, can you please? Yeah,
Now,
I said I'm going to go.
I can give you just one more minute, just got to wrap
okay.
it up.
Okay, anyways, I just kind of wonder what's going to happen or what can be done, because I know Gardena gets a lot of money from casinos, from Larry Flint and some stuff, but I don't think he should be able to put that kind of stuff up for our kids in our city and our town. And I hope you could do something about it. It is very degrading.
All right, thank you. Next we have Renee Norman.
Good evening. I'm here representing the northeast section of Gardena. That is the border of El Segundo Boulevard and Vermont Avenue. I've been in Gardena since 2003. There's a vacant lot that sits adjacent to the large apartment complex. To the west of that is the Caesar restaurant that has been closed for at least 2 years. So I'm trying to find out what's going on with the vacant lot, if there's any plans to improve that lot or just keep it vacant. The Caesar Restaurant, like I said, has been closed for 2 years. Don't know if there's any plans for that as far as revitalization. And the Executive Inn is under being refurbished. The Executive Inn was a home and a haven to sex offenders. And I'm trying to find out who will be the new tenants at this particular building. And speaking of sex offenders, in the 90247 zip code, there's possible 82 sex offenders. In the 90248, it's 12. And the 90249 zip code is 25. So it's a lot of sex offenders in my zip code, 90247. And I am a youth advocate, senior citizen advocate, and I've been talking about the sex offenders and why it's so many. And I don't want it to be that when the Executive Inn is redone, that they move sex offenders back in. And then my last comment is about our stop sign at Berindo, Catalina, and 129th Street. It's 3 streets that come together. We have 2 stop signs. And ever since I've been here in 2003, I have advocated with the city, the police department, about the stop signs that people seem to run through like it's a thoroughfare, including city vehicles, delivery trucks, and there are children in the area, including my grandchildren, and it's deemed in the foreseeable future is going to be a horrific accident. It's already accidents at Budlong and Vermont. Budlong and El Segundo. But the residential street is appalling. And the police said that they were going to come out. They come out, they sit, they come out and do a little surveillance, and it goes right back to being a thoroughfare. And something needs to be done. Thank you.
Ms. Norman, our acting city manager will follow back up with you probably in an email or a letter in regards to Executive Inn. In regards to the traffic issue, if you can speak with our Deputy Chief Kang, is he still in here? Or if somebody could point him, he's standing right outside. If you can see him in regards to that stop sign there.
Okay, when we were in discussion of the parking permits for the area and for our location, as far as that big apartment building.
Correct.
I spoke then also, and nobody's come out.
Okay.
Okay.
There
so
again,
I look forward to being contacted.
All the comments that you've made will also go through our city manager as well as the council. We'll get a follow-up from that as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Last speaker is Rosalie Preston.
Hello, Honorable Mayor and City Council. My name is Rosalie Preston, and I live on the LA City side. I'm on the board of the Harbor Gateway North Neighborhood Council and also on our planning committee. Just wanted to make sure that you are aware that there is a very large warehouse slash high cube warehouse slash distribution center, possible fulfillment center, proposed for the northeast corner of Redondo Beach Boulevard and Vermont Avenue. It would be over 400,000 square feet, have parking spaces on the Redondo Beach side for 246 vehicles, and on the north side, truck bays for up to 72 large trucks. They are proposing 24-hour operation. Our neighborhood council has reviewed the mitigated negative declaration, the draft mitigated negative declaration, and we have taken a position of asking that a full environmental impact report be prepared because the mitigated negative declaration is so poorly done and we cannot really see that there are adequate mitigations proposed. And we would encourage the city of Gardena to do the same because of the impact of the project. It would impact your hospital, your 2 senior care centers, the Amestoy School, 2 churches, at least to say nothing of traffic coming in and out of the city of Gardena. We are also asking for an extension of the time for public comment on the draft mitigated negative declaration. And we're asking that it be extended until the last Friday in January. And there is a public hearing. The first public hearing is a week from tomorrow on Wednesday, December 20th at 12 noon at Los Angeles City Hall, and we hope that you and others will attend. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so next moving on to departmental items. Item number 8A1, Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, item number 8A1 is resolution number 6301, adopting personnel rules and regulations for the City of Gardena and repealing resolution 2700, 2716, 3603, 4171, and all amendments thereto. This has been a piece of work going probably past 4.5 years. What this resolution does is set details to the procedures for which to ensure fair and equitable treatment for all employees with competitive service for the City of Gardena. The city personnel rules and regulations have not been revised since the original adoption in December of 1992. Since then, there has been numerous changes in the law, practices, and procedures. We have many outdated policies and practices that needed to be addressed by the adoption of these new rules and regulations. The revisions will facilitate in continuing to provide efficient and economical services to the public while maintaining a consistent, honest, and reasonable system of personnel management practices. We met with all of the 3 unions to review the personnel rules, and all of them have signed off on their being approved. There is no fiscal impact. What is required by the City Council is to adopt Resolution 6301.
Okay, thank you. Does any member of the council have any questions in regards to this here? Councilmember Henderson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Mr. City Manager. The one question I have is in regards to the item where it says HR officers' discretion in determining if a position's open competitive, closed competitive, or closed promotional. That's still a discussion that's had with city leadership, with the city manager, and it's not a unilateral, I think this should be this versus that.
Yeah, our philosophy here has tried to hire within to the extent possible, so that would be having a closed promotional process. If there are not qualified candidates or the pool is too small, then we generally open it up for external candidates. Sometimes the qualifications are such that no one has those qualifications. Let's say, for example, maybe an engineer or some other requirement that requires a certification that no employee has. It would be obviously going out to open competitive. So it's a determination on what the internal needs and talent is. And if possible, we'd like to use internal talent and then bring new people in for other positions to backfill.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilmember Tanaka?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. City Manager, I read through this thing, and as a past city employee, I commend your staff for what they've done, because this was not an easy task. And reading through it, I was very pleased at what I saw. So thank you very much.
All right. Any other questions? If not, can I get a motion to adopt resolution number 6301?
I move.
Second.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Henderson and Councilmember Tanaka, and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Medina. Will you call the roll?
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Medina.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Next up is item number 8A2. Mr. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor Serta. Members of the City Council, ordinance number 1783 amends Chapter 6.02 of Title 6 of the Gardena Municipal Code pertaining to animal control services. I'd like to let the mayor know that this should be conducted as a public hearing for the purposes of this item. Ordinance number 1783 was introduced by Mayor Pro Tem Medina at the November 14th, 2017 City Council meeting. The City Council adopted Title 10, which is, quote, animals of the Los Angeles County Code by reference in 2011. Between the time the city last updated its animal control services ordinance and the most recent title changes, there's a number of changes to the LA County Title 10 code. The LA County Animal Control Services provides animal control work for the city of Gardena, and it's important for the city to adopt the most recent version of Title 10 of the LA County Code. The city desires to update the Gardena Municipal Code to incorporate most recent versions of the LA County Title 10. Staff recommends that the City Council conduct a public hearing and approve ordinance number 1783, amending Chapter 6.2 of the Title 6 of the Gardena Municipal Code pertaining animal control services. There is no fiscal impact. What's required is to conduct a public hearing and approve ordinance number 1783.
Okay, thank you. So this is a public hearing, so the hearing is now open. Are there any questions or comments? I have one. On page 4, it's section D, I think it's item number 10.28.060, and it makes reference as far as breeding animals. And I'm curious, there's some people who like breed pet bulls at their home. Would they be required to put like a grade on there, like what's suggested in this ordinance here on, it's page 4, section D? When they start giving grades to how the facilities, and even if it's kept at home?
With respect to page 4, item D, that is done by the LA County Animal Control. The City of Gardena does not handle that responsibility.
So if we notice where there's a person who is breeding animals or dogs, pit bulls, let's just say, and they have 5 to 10, because I noticed where they start saying from 1 to 51, 51 and higher, we would still need to notify them because it needs to be graded, like
Yeah.
a A, B, C, like you would a restaurant?
Yeah, so our municipal code also provides where in the city you can allow more than a certain amount of animals. So there's very few spots left in Gardena where you can have, for example, kennel services. You know, in South Gardena along, let's say 178, there's still some properties that have kennels, and some of the commercial areas up north, there's areas that have kennels. Some of those are legal non-conforming establishments, but there's plenty of places in most places in Gardena you cannot have kennel services.
So a home, for instance, if somebody's
Yes,
trying
you're
to
limited
breed
to the amount of dogs you can have at a home, for example.
up to,
I believe it's 3.
okay, got it. Are there any other questions or comments at this time? Mayor Pro Tem Medina?
Yes, I understand that there are certain parts of Gardena, especially on the south side by 178th, where that whole area is specifically zoned for dog breeders. Would that same ordinance apply to that?
By adopting Title 10, all of the provisions within Title 10 would affect the City of Gardena. Basically, Gardena's animal ordinance is the Los Angeles County Code.
So how would that apply to chickens and roosters and ducks and all that stuff?
Well, within the provisions of Title 10, the same would apply if there's not anything specifically called out outside of Title 10 in our municipal code.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Madam City Clerk, has anybody from the public asked to speak on this item?
No, Madam Mayor, I have
Okay.
not.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, the hearing is now closed, and I'm going to ask for a motion to adopt ordinance number 1783. Can I get a motion to adopt this?
I move.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Tanaka and a second by Councilmember Cascania. Will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Medina.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Next up is item number 8A3. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, item 8A3 is City of Gardena's audit report for fiscal year, which ended June 30th, 2017, comprehensive annual financial report, commonly referred to as a CAFR, and family, child, and care and family child care and municipal bus lines. The audited financial reports for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2007 were prepared by the city's contracted auditing firm, the Poon Group, which a couple of the auditors are here in the audience, an independent public accounting firm fully licensed and qualified to perform audits of the state and local governments within the state of California. The goal of the independent audit is to provide reasonable assurances that the financial statements of the city for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2017 are free of material misstatements. The financial statements included in the CAFR report represent all city funds. City management is responsible for the accuracy of the data, the fairness and completeness of the presentation, and the inclusion of all disclosures that are necessary to enable the reader to understand the city's operations. Reports also contain a citywide view of all governmental and business type activities, as well as a focus on the financial position and operating results of the city's major funds. The auditors issued an unqualified opinion that based upon their audit, the city's financial statements are presented fairly as of June 30, 2017, and change in financial position and cash flows are in conformity with generally accepted accounting principles. The Family Child Care Program report and the Municipal Bus Lines Enterprise Fund were both issued with an unqualified opinion in that financial statements are presented fairly in all materials, aspects, and financial position. The result of its operations for the year for the Family Child Care Program and the Municipal Bus Lines Enterprise Fund ended in conformity with generally accepted financing principles. The Poon Group is also present, as I mentioned. I want to also highlight the fact that our Finance Department, led under the direction of Admin Services Director Clint Osorio, did an amazing job working with the auditors to get this report completed. What is required by the City Council is to receive and file the audit reports for fiscal year 2016 and 2017.
Okay, are there any questions any council member has? Councilmember Henderson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Chief, in regards to a summary of this this audit report, as far as our transparency, we're thinking we can put a summary up somewhere so folks can kind of.
Yeah, not only that, we can make the full report is available online.
One other question, Madam Mayor. In regards to in the discussions with the Poon Group, actually they're a reputable firm and everything, have they given any? Well, I guess they can't really give guidance, but in regards to what do we do about our long-term liability with CalPERS and our retirement and everything, as far as like other public sector agencies and this, how are we all going to try to work to get over that hurdle?
Yeah, that's slightly outside of the scope of what they were doing, but relative to the long-term plan for dealing with our unfunded pension liability, I'd be more than happy to do a presentation to the City Council to discuss and explore options for that. I will comment that we recently held a Finance Committee report, and that issue was discussed at length with the Finance Committee members. So if the City Council at the end of the meeting wants to give me a directive to do that, I would be more than happy to do that.
Okay, are there any other questions at this time? If not, then we're going to receive and file this item here. I just want to thank the Poon Group and also our Finance Department for doing a great job in putting this together here. Next up is item number 8B1, Mr. City Manager.
Mayor, Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 8B1 is a public hearing for resolution number 6302 approving the city's climate action plan. On April 29, 2015, Governor Brown issued a new executive order, B-30-15, to establish a California greenhouse gas reduction target of 40% below 1990 levels by 2030. The state climate change scoring plan emission target for 2020 and 2050 are 15 and 80% below the 1990 baseline. With the assistance of the South Bay City Council of Governments, the City of Gardena has prepared a climate action report to reduce greenhouse gases. The director, Jackie, from the South Bay COG is here, and I know she wants to speak on this matter. The CAP is consistent with the California Global Warming Solutions Act, AB 32. The CAP was completed in 2 phases, with energy efficiency strategies being previously adopted by the City Council on October 27 of 2015. The approved resolution back then completed phase 1 of the CAP development process, including establishing 2005 as a greenhouse gas emissions baseline, forecasting emission reductions through 2012, regarding gas emissions inventory and establishing 2020 and 2035 targets. Land use and transportation, waste screening, and energy generation storage strategies have been developed for both municipal and community operations. A complete climate action plan will also provide the city with new pathways to state funding for environmentally sustainable projects. The executive order and scoping plan are not requirements for local government, but may inform future legislation and be the criteria for grant eligibility. I'd like to ask Jackie to come in. I know she wanted to comment on this action plan.
Before we do that, this is a public hearing, so we've now officially opened the hearing up. And before I let Jackie speak, are there any questions first? Because it may be covered in what Jackie's going to say here. No? Okay, go ahead.
Turn on the mic. Turn on the mic.
Did you want me to use the PowerPoint or just speak?
Yeah, just speak.
Okay. Well, we want to thank you very much. Your city manager did outline a lot of what we're here to talk about. We did work with your staff, and we want to thank them for their great cooperation on this climate action plan. It is a visioning document, but it's going to help you in the future with getting grants and an opportunity to make your other documents conform. The general fund now, general plan now requires greenhouse gas emissions analysis, so you will have that. We started off with an inventory. We went into the strategies that we worked with your staff, and then we're here today to help you answer any questions on the strategies that are in our plan. Gardena's major factor of greenhouse gas emissions is your transportation, and so we do have a lot of strategies in the plan for transportation. The good news is that if you just follow a lot of what the state is already going to be doing, by 2020 you'll meet that goal, and if you do the energy efficiency measures that you've already adopted, you'll meet the 2035 goal. So you're doing well, but there's going to be a lot more that we can do as we move forward. There are 5 elements in the plan: land use and energy efficiency, solid waste, urban greening, and energy storage. And energy efficiency, as I said, will be very important. The one thing that is unique, and I want to mention this in the plan, is that we took the standard way that climate action plans have been calculated, and we added in and got consultants to work with us on the South Bay Sustainable Strategy, which is a strategy which focuses on neighborhood-oriented development and not necessarily just transit-oriented development, so that we could look at the many local trips that are taken and how we can address those with transportation options and land use options. So this is different, and your plan is the plans in the South Bay are sort of groundbreaking in that way. And we're hoping to work with the state on adding those kinds of measures to the state plans. Implementation steps are going to be implementing this plan by trying to get funding, which we're going to try to help you do, to advance the strategies that are being adopted in it. The plan, I think, will be on your website. It will probably be on our website, and I'd be glad to answer any questions. We also have one of our consultants here who can answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Question, Councilmember Henderson?
Yes. Hi, Jake. First of all, how you doing? Quick question in regards to the, once we have a plan, this visionary document, great. Once we start getting the grant funding, will it be earmarked for instance, we're working on a transportation plan to green our fleet, but would that give us the opportunity to, if we needed to, purchase space to create other green space, or is it just strictly for transportation? You said neighborhoods, so can we?
We're going to comb the grant world and try to find grants for all kinds of different things, the different parts of this plan. As far as the transportation is concerned, your transit organization, right, G-Trans, is doing a great job on fleet electrification and the solar over the yard, and they're very good at finding the sources for those. We'll be looking for more, but I don't think anything that we will look for would be necessarily earmarked for something specific. If it is, then that's what we'll have to do with it. But we're going to look for a lot of different things.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Serta, and just wanted to point out that the development of the plan and looking at future funding is a great opportunity for the partnerships that we have with the South Bay COG. Without them, this plan certainly wouldn't be where it's at today. And then the next step is finding the available monies to fulfill some of the requirements of the plan.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, you had a question or comment?
Yes, thank you. Ms. Bachrach, I just wanted to commend you on how we've come from where we started. I'm also on the South Bay COG for the Board of Directors, and It took a lot of years to get this done. And for those of you who have that, there's a CD or a DVD in the back you can read when you get home. It's very comprehensive, and it's we're very fortunate that the only thing we really have to worry about is our bus transportation as far as the emissions are concerned and the gas, because everything else we've covered, especially for the city building itself, with the solar panels and so forth and so on. So I commend Jackie Backrack and the staff of the South Bay Council of Governments for accomplishing what you've done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, Madam City Clerk, are there any speakers who would like to speak on this item?
No, we do not have any speakers.
Okay, so at this time, we're going to go ahead and close the hearing, and I'm going to ask if I can get a motion to adopt resolution number 6302.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Medina and a second by Councilmember Kaskanian. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Medina.
Yes.
Councilmember Kaskanian.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, next up is item number 8B2. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, we have a number of reviews this evening, and I would just want to point out that the planners that were involved in each of these projects are present. We do have PowerPoints from each of them, but in the essence of saving time, we'll only use those if necessary. There's specific questions or graphics that need to be presented on each of these items. Call for review by Mayor Serta of Commission action on the approval of conditional use permit 6-17 to allow the operation of a children's daycare facility pursuant to 8.32030G of the Gardena Municipal Code in the general commercial C3 zone. Resolution number 6298 upholding the decision of the Planning and Environmental Quality Commission to approve conditional use permit 6-17. Summary, that the conditional use permit 617 will allow the operation of a 1,478 square foot children's daycare facility with an existing office building on church grounds. On November 7, 2017, the Planning and Environmental Quality Commission voted 5-0 to adopt resolution PC 2117 approving the conditional use permit 6-17, directing staff to file a notice of exemption as an existing facility. A call for review was filed by Mayor Serta specifically requesting information on the hours of operation, numbers of employees, employee-to-child ratio, visibility of the proposed playground from the public right-of-way, and whether there are changes to the exterior of the existing building proposed. Applicant is proposing tenant improvements to facilitate 2 classrooms, serving 8 infants and 8 toddlers ranging from the ages of newborn to 3 years. The proposed hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Teachers and aides to be on site from 7:30 to 4:30 Monday through Friday, and the daycare will not operate during the weekend. According to the California Health and Safety Code, there shall be a ratio of 1 teacher to every 4 infants and a ratio of 1 teacher to every 6 toddlers for a daycare facility. As an aide may be substituted for a teacher if there's a fully qualified teacher directly supervising no more than 12 infants. The proposed project will exceed the state requirements by providing a total of staffing of 3 teachers and 3 aides at all times. Playground area would be slightly visible to the public right-of-way on Crenshaw Boulevard, and no exterior improvements to the building will be made. What is required by the council is open the public hearing, receive testimony from the public, and adopt resolution number 6298. As mentioned, the planners involved in this item are present, and I believe the applicant is also present.
Okay, thank you. So this is a public hearing as well, so the hearing is now open. Does any member of the council have any questions besides me? Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Medina?
Yeah, I was looking, and I looked through it earlier, but I don't see the fire marshal approval.
Well, all buildings, before they're issued anything, will be inspected before they're giving an the operating permit and a business license. Okay. Yeah. Well, they have to get the business license, and then they go out and do an inspection. So it's the next step, should I say.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, so I believe most of the questions here were answered as far as why I called for a review, and it was stated that there's no plan to change the exterior of it. So I just want to make sure in the future moving forward, there's no chance that it can be painted a bright yellow or pink or daycare colors, so that is totally exempt, correct?
There is no proposed changes to the building. The city does not have an official color palette, as maybe many of the members of the city council know, so there is limited ability to control that, but if the operator's here and you want to ask them that question for the record, that would be okay as well.
Okay, if the operator's here, would they please come forward? Determine whether or not I approve the item.
Good evening. My name is Kelly Kniske. I'm the Program Director for Pacific Asian Consortium and Employment. We operate a Head Start and Early Head Start program. To answer your question, Mayor, we are not looking to change the color of the property. We don't need it to be a bright color, so we have no intentions of changing the color.
Okay, thank you very much. And I appreciate the fact that you answered all these questions that we had for your project.
Thank you.
Was with that, and included with that. I'm sorry, your question was, Councilmember?
Well, I noticed that you asked about visibility from Crenshaw.
Correct.
And they said there was going to be partial.
Okay.
So is that going to be okay with you?
That is okay for me, yes. So if there are no other questions, then we're going to close the hearing at this time. And I'm going to make a motion to approve this item. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, motion's been made by myself to approve, adopt resolution number 6298, and a second by Councilmember Tanaka. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Serta?
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Medina?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
And Councilmember Cascanian?
Yes.
Okay. The next item is item number 8B3. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor, sir, the members of the City Council, agenda item number 8B3 is a public hearing. It's a call for review by Mayor Serta of site plan review number 4-17 to demolish an existing YWCA building and construct a new 22,402 square foot, 14-unit mixed-use housing project in the commercial residential CR zone per Gardena Municipal Code 18.20.025. Also, resolution number 6294, approving the site plan review 4-17 and directing staff to file a notice of exemption as an infill project. On August 1st, 2017, the Planning and Environmental Commission made a motion to approve the site plan review 4-17 subject to the conditions of approval and directed staff to file a notice of exemption as an existing facility. On October 17th, the Planning and Environmental Quality Commission, October 17th, came to a tie vote on 2-2 with a fifth member absent, which constituted an effective denial of the site plan review 4-17, as a majority vote is required for approval. On October 24, 2017, a call review was filed by Mayor Serta with a request to review the project as a whole. Staff has found that the proposed project meets several goals and policies of the Gardena housing element. The proposed project will provide opportunity for increasing the supply of affordable housing with the City of Gardena and provide a residential development in a CR zone along with Gardena Boulevard at a maximum attainable densities within affordable units. As you may recall, some of you were on council or not, but the Gardena Boulevard area was rezoned to allow for this type of development. The long-term plan for Gardena Boulevard was to develop mixed-use projects that would make Gardena Boulevard a more focal point within our community and to establish a more walkable, livable community in this area. This project is very similar to the vision that was discussed when we changed the zoning in that section. There is no fiscal impact. What is required is to open the public hearing, receive testimony from the public, and adopt resolution number 6294. I know the applicant is present.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, this is also a public hearing. We're going to open the hearing at this time. And before I ask if my colleagues have any questions, Madam City Clerk, I have one notice here of a speaker. Are there any more?
There are no others. That's it.
Okay, so also before you guys speak, Mr. City Manager, I would like to see the diagram picture of the entire project from the front street view. Does any member of the council have any questions in regards to this particular project? You do. Councilmember Kaskanian?
Mayor, while you're having discussions, we'll bring it up.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question to the planner or
To the applicant?
To the applicant.
If the applicant is available, if they could please come forward. If you could just hit the little red button and go ahead, Councilmember, your question?
Yes, my question is regarding ingress and egress on Normandy Avenue. It's about 18 feet wide, and I think that will be a little bit an issue coming the cars in and out on Normandy Avenue, since Normandy is a major artery for us, and it's a busy street, and especially it's too close to Gardena Boulevard. Can you kind of a little bit explain it to us if there is any possibility that we can widen it so people can come in and out without waiting? The car is coming out and the other one going in, so we won't have traffic jam. And if you did any traffic studies regarding this?
Yes. Thanks for the question, and thanks for hearing about our development today. Really appreciate it. We do have a traffic consultant here present with us today who did a traffic study, who can speak more in an expert level than I can.
Yes.
One thing I will say is that on the back alley, we are adding 2 feet to the alley itself. That's a street dedication that we're providing as part of the development. And regarding the actual congestion, though, that's really not my expertise, but from my understanding, our traffic consultant found no negative effect or significant negative effect with the traffic. But if you would provide we could invite her up.
Members of the City Council, I just want to clarify, the traffic consultant was working for the City of Gardena, not for the applicant.
Okay.
Would you like to hear from the traffic consultant?
Yes, please. I would like to know because
If they can come forward.
We do have an issue already on Normandy and Redondo Beach Boulevard with Starbucks being too close to Redondo Beach, and I did witness that traffic stopped on Normandy Avenue coming southbound on Normandy from Redondo Beach.
The proposed exit onto Normandy is a right turn only, just so the council's aware.
Okay. Hi. Please state your name and...
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Claire Look Yeager. I'm a principal with the firm of Linscott Law and Greenspan Engineers, LLG for short. For the record, the address is 600 South Lake Avenue, Suite 500 in Pasadena, California. As a point of clarification, our firm was hired by the city to independently review the potential forecast of vehicular trip generation associated with this proposed project. We also took a detailed review at site access and circulation. Our firm prepared maneuvering diagrams for the original project site plan. What we found from our initial review, we did have some concerns regarding the placement of the entrance point off of the existing alleyway. We made recommendations that the applicant go back to the architect and see if they could, based on our auto turn maneuvering diagrams, respond to our particular concerns that we raised. It was at that point that there was a redesign based on our recommendations. The applicant is correct in that they will be required to provide an additional 2-foot dedication. The alley today is 20 feet wide, not 18 feet. So it's in addition to 20 feet. The site today, you might recall, does take access from Gardena Boulevard. It's in very close proximity to the existing signal at Normandy Avenue. It is our preference always as licensed traffic engineers to really minimize curb cuts on major arterials. We know that Gardena Boulevard also has angled on-street parking. Normandy, it is a major collector in the city's general plan, and the design of Normandy is intended to carry regional traffic volumes. Today, Normandy carries about 22,000 vehicles per day, which is actually operating a bit below its design capacity. This project will add approximately 20 peak hour trips in the PM peak hour, and that's a combination of inbound and outbound flows. We prefer to have access off of the existing alleyway, and we did do supplemental auto turn maneuvering diagrams, again, for a northbound right turn entry, and the existing alley would be a westbound right turn only. So any future resident of the 14 units or any patron of the commercial would not be allowed to make an exiting left turn from the alleyway back out onto Normandy. It was our recommendation that that restriction be maintained because, like yourself, Council Member Kaskanian, if I pronounced that correctly, we do have that concern about potential congestion as well.
Yes, because it's very close to a traffic light, and there is several traffic lights within the proximity. You know, it's like the Gardena Boulevard, 162nd, and we have another one. Yes. So that's little concerns me because it's very, you know, high traveled street. So is there any possibility, since there is a, maybe you guys might open an egress from on Gardena Boulevard, can we put some those do not exit things that they cannot exit from this driveway? Can we put, you know, what they call the...
Hold on.
Yeah, as a point of clarification, the existing driveway on Gardena Boulevard will be closed. So that curb cut will no longer exist. And that was based also on our support and our recommendation that we preferred access to be to and from the existing alleyway versus, as it exists today, to and from Gardena Boulevard.
Okay. All right.
Mr. City Manager, you had a comment as well?
Yes, Mayor, Sir, members of the City Council, as you recall, when we placed angle parking there, you know, Gardena Boulevard was completely redone. The specific purpose was to support development such as this and to add additional parking. It was the city's request to have the exit from the rear, entrance and exit from the rear, not on Gardena Boulevard, consistent with our long-term plan for Gardena Boulevard. And then if I could ask the traffic engineer, because when you say 20 trips at peak hours, can you put some context into that, and is that a high, low, et cetera, for the City Council to understand what that means?
Absolutely. That's the PM peak hour, so it's roughly one vehicle every 3 minutes. The AM peak hour is considerably lower, only 11 vehicle trips, and that's roughly one vehicle every 5 minutes. Typically, as traffic consultants, I've been preparing traffic studies for 3 decades now. I'm getting old, or older. But typically when you add to a particular location 50 vehicle trips or more in a single hour, that's really the threshold when you go into a much more detailed review. So we're significantly below that for the project as a whole. And then, of course, those trips are distributed onto the existing street system. And therefore, even if 100% of the trips on exiting, they will make a right turn, they will impact the signal at Normandy and Gardena. And we also, the last comment I want to make, we did observe Perry Middle School, the drop-off operations. We know that with the Bell schedule, there is a point of congestion. I just wanted to point out that in the afternoon, there's a significant offset from the school dismissal to the time that residents are arriving back home.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions by the council? Go ahead, Councilmember Tanaka.
So you've already talked to the police department and the fire department, and they've both said that there's not a problem with the ingress and egress from the alleyway.
Yeah, our firm has not had particular conversations, but city's team has. And we're not aware of any comments that were forwarded along to city staff and then on to us as consultants. But we did our own independent review of maneuvering as well.
So, Mayor, certain members of City Council, comments from departments are done internally, separate from the traffic evaluation. And all affected departments have opportunity to comment on the proposed plan, this one and any other development.
Okay. Any other questions from council? If not, we have a speaker, Mr. Dean Thomas. You can just sit in the front row in case there are any more questions.
Hello, my name is Dean Thomas. I raised my kids at Dinker Elementary, and I don't currently live in Gardena, but I have been a real estate agent for over 35 years in the area. And a new project like this for tenant-type tenancies for employees in the community, I think is really needed in the area because there's not a lot of newer rental properties available. They're mostly for sale, and I think it really will accommodate a lot of employees for Gardena and really be an improvement in the Civic area. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. If there are no other comments or questions, just going to make my quick comments on it. I was the one who called for review of this item here because I think this is a really good project here. Currently, it is the YWCA, which is vacant now. That's no longer in existence. It's a one-story facility that has parking in the back, and now these are the new owners here, and I just think this is the look, the trend of where we would like to go in the city of Gardena. Part of, back when I sat on the general plan, I think it was back in 2004, we were talking about mixed developments like this, where you would see retail on the first level and then residential on top. This component has a little bit more. It's retail on the bottom level, office use in the middle, and then residential towards the back there. And there's even a little patio area on the top. I think it's a great project. I like the way they took into account the way cars will enter this project and exit from the alley, which in my opinion just kind of adds an added benefit to just the curb appeal in the front of the building there. But it's definitely the type of projects we would like to see in Gardena as we're moving forward here. So it was for that reason that I thought it was important that we bring this back to the council here to also allow the community as well as the council to see this project once again, because I think it's really good. So with that, I'm actually going to make a motion to approve this project here, and I'm hoping I can get a second from my colleagues.
Second.
Second.
Okay.
Mayor, sir, you have to close it.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to close the hearing at this time here. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by myself to adopt resolution number 6294. There was a second by Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you'll call the roll, please.
Mayor Serta.
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Medina.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Kaskanian.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Well, your project's approved, and good luck, and we'll be very eager to see this place open up here. Okay, next up is item number 8B4, Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of City Council, agenda number 8B4 is a public hearing as well. It's a call for review by Councilman Henderson of commission action on the denial of parcel map number 1-17 to subdivide a 365,980 square foot commercial parcel in the commercial C2 zone into 4 separate parcels consistent with Title 17 and Title 18 of the Gardena Municipal Code. On October 17, 2017, staff made a recommendation to approve the parcel map 1-17. After public comment and presentation of new information regarding substandard conditions at the shopping center, the Planning and Environmental Quality Commission made a motion to deny parcel map 1-17 and direct staff to file resolution of denial. On November 7, 2017, the Planning and Environmental Commission voted 0-5 to approve resolution PC 1917 denying parcel map 1-17. A call for review for the decision was filed by Councilmember Henderson for a request of a clarification of the Planning and Environmental Quality Commission action. There is no fiscal impact. What's required is to conduct a public hearing, receive testimony from the public, and direct staff to draft a resolution upholding or overturning the Planning and Environmental Quality Commission's decision to deny parcel map number 1-17.
Okay, thank you. So this here is also a public hearing, and does any member of the council have any questions in regards to this? And before we go to that, Madam City Clerk, I noticed where you gave me 5 speaker requests. Are there any more?
There are no others.
Okay. Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I think I actually understand where the confusion is. So my call for review on this has to do with the language and folks understanding exactly what's happening at the Planning Commission. So when you said the approval of the denial, or the approval of the parcel map ones, which is the denial of the right to subdivide, I think folks missed that part of it, that basically the Planning Commission was stating that they're going to deny the application for the subdivision of parcel map 1-17 or whatever. And then I think in our council packet that night, it said council mission approval, but the denial piece was missing. And then I thought about, I don't think our Planning Commission's meetings are televised, are they? And put on loop, or?
No, I don't believe they are, but I believe they are recorded. I'm not exactly sure. Minutes only then.
So how would a member of the community get, they just have to go to city clerk and ask for a copy of the recordings?
No, minutes only.
Minutes only? Okay. Because I think if they would have heard the conversation in regards to what the discussion was, it would have made clear. But you know how some of our residents are, even if you tell them the truth, they still, so I was like, well, let me do the right thing and we'll bring it back forward. So I think that's what it was. People heard approval, didn't hear denial or whatever. And so what we're doing is I want to make sure that we uphold the denial to subdivide parcel 117 to make it clear for everybody at home. And that's all I have.
Sometimes in the semantics of, this legalese, it is confusing.
Okay, with that being said, do any of our other council members, would you like to say anything in regards to this? And I will still allow for the speakers to still come forward. Okay, so the first speaker tonight is Mas Oshiro, and then after that will be Brenda Jackson.
Good evening. I am Mas Oshiro, Chairman of the Merritt Park Homeowners Association. Merritt Park consists of 57 condo units immediately east of Pacific Square. That is a subject area that under consideration. We request that the Gardena City Council and Mayor not approve the request to subdivide Pacific Square property into 4 separate parcels. Having 4 separate possible owners will lack consistency for maintenance, total planning, aesthetics, responding to responsibilities, claims, and complaints. We at Merritt Park hereby recommend that the Pacific Square complex remain as a one-owner property. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next is Brenda Jackson, and then after that is Annie Roddy.
Honorable Mayor and council members, Mr. Oshiro, thank you. He spoke exactly what I was going to say, except he said it a lot more elegantly than I have. Thank you for withholding the disapproval of the splitting of that piece of property. I don't think it would benefit Gardena. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Next is Annie Roddy. Annie Roddy, and then after that is John Barclaw.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council. I'm going to first speak for John Barclaw. On 9/13, he wrote a letter to the Community Development Department that read in general, "Ladies and gentlemen, I am a 52-year resident of Merritt Park. Next to the subject property, I am extremely concerned about the possible division of Pacific Square property into 4 separate commercial C2 parcels. Over the years, we have had some maintenance, pest control, odor, noise problems, including very early garbage pickups and signaling for loading dock entrance, with the air horn for delivery trucks emanating from Pacific Square. It is hard enough to locate the responsible party and the owner to seek abatement of the problem with the property in one commercial legal parcel. If this property is subdivided into 4 legal parcels, these parcels could be sold to 4 different owners. This would make it almost impossible to pin down the owner responsibility for the offense of pests, odors, and noise. It would also split the responsibility of maintenance as it affects adjoining properties. I respectfully request that you deny the application for subdivision by Joseph Liu. Pacific Square, a single business center, should remain under single ownership. Signed, John Barraclaw. He is a 52-year resident of Merritt Park. He is present here tonight. Mr. Barraclaw, could you stand up, please? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Now, I just want to make some things aware. I'm going to speak with my 3 minutes now, Madam Mayor.
Go ahead.
Okay. My name is Annie Roddy, and my address is of record. I wish to speak on the topic of Pacific Square. I'm a property manager by trade, a small business owner, and a resident of this community. Although I don't reside in the 300 square feet of the development, I do reside within 2 blocks east of the project. I wish to discuss my concerns with this project, and I became aware of the subdivision request into 4 separate parcels only a couple of months ago, when it was brought up to the Planning Commission level. I did speak on the topic at the time. I did not support the project, neither do I support it today. The community, along with myself, are not happy about the request for the subdivision into the 4 parcels, and that would mean 4 separate owners to deal with, meaning it would be difficult to resolve issues that come up, such as maintenance, etc. This would place a burden upon the city, and it would require more staff hours, more staff resolving small issues, and even greater issues that lie ahead. I'm aware we have a similar issue in the city located on Rosecrans that has proved to be a large problem because of subdivision. When it came to vote at the Planning Commission level, it was voted to deny the project unanimously. Moving forward to our last City Council meeting of record, it was brought to review by Councilman Henderson. After leaving the meeting, I decided to conduct my own research, and here are my findings. First of all, the property was listed for sale back, and I found it on the internet dated October 2016. How come are we just now hearing about it? 2, it was placed for sale on the internet advertising the property for sale was 4 separate parcels. It's yet to be divided. So how can it be listed as 4 separate parcels? That's my question. It was also listed as 1 parcel for sale. Let me remind you that these 4 parcels are not equal parts, meaning 1 part bigger, perhaps, than the other 3. Pacific Square was originally designed as 1 parcel. Tonight, I'm asking the council to stand by the decision that was previously handed down unanimously at the planning level. I thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Next, we're going to have Tom Spears. And then after Tom Spears, we're going to have Mina Semenza.
Good evening, Council members, and thank you for having this hearing for the Gardena community. I would like to ask if we could put the drawing of the project on the screen. I have a little different problem with this particular thing, although I'd like to start out by saying I did attend the Planning Commission meeting. I thought it was handled excellently by the chairwoman, and I listened to all of the discussions and I participated in it. I do not have anything to do with the residential properties that is to the east, but I don't see it up there. I don't.
It's coming.
Okay, thank you. I think that the opinions of all the people that spoke so far this evening, I really concur with them. And I reviewed the packet on this in the Community Development Department 2 different times, and the staff there was very cooperative and even helped me along with a couple of questions that I had, so I want to compliment the staff. I have had 2 problems with tenants in Pacific Square. I'm not here to talk about those. I'll mention them briefly. One was with Carol's and one was with a Chinese restaurant. And I think the problem came because of poor property management. I think I resolved the one problem with Carol's thanks to the help from a Gardena Police Department officer that I spoke to in the headquarters over there. I was able to resolve my problem on that. The Chinese restaurant problem with the seagulls flying over from the restaurant on Western and Redondo Beach Boulevard, flying across my building and picking portions of the ducks that hang in the alley is between my building and the Chinese restaurant, and then the ducks dropping their bones on the roof of my building irritated me for several years. Finally, we got that taken care of. My real problem and question that I have here this evening, ladies and gentlemen, is the zoning. In the event if this parcel ever did change hands, according to what I read in the information you have in the planning department, it is zoned business, office, and so on and so forth. I really do not think, my question is, can a new owner, if a new owner comes in, say this thing goes through, and a new owner comes in, can they put residential in there? That's my question. From what I've read, they can't, but I want to really hear it from you.
It is not zoned for residential.
It's only commercial, correct? Only commercial, sir.
So even if it changed hands, it
Only
can't
commercial.
be? No way.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Next is Mina Semenza.
Okay. Sorry about that. Mina Semenza, my address is on record. You know, I'm speaking as a second-generation Gardena resident and homeowner. I've been on the same street for 55 years in the Pacific Square neighborhood, which is about 2 blocks east. When Pacific Square was built, it was not intended to be subdivided. So my question was, why now? And doing so would have negative effects on our quality of life and property values and would lead to other major problems in the future, as evidenced by other centers in the city that have been subdivided. And I'm glad we're having this conversation because this is bringing that issue to light. And I hope that in the future we don't have these issues because subdividing is not good for our city, not good for our community. It's not beneficial as a real estate agent. I will tell you it's not beneficial to selling to multiple owners who are likely inexperienced with commercial properties. There's a loss of continuity with a mix of tenants. There's problems and issues dealing with multiple owners as evidenced with other shopping centers like Van Ness and Rosecrans, and I know there are others. What happens if one or more of the multiple owners has a financial problem and cannot participate in some upkeep or upgrading? That's a serious problem, and the project at the center dies and doesn't get done. Property values and quality of life are affected. You know, the fact of the matter is that this owner has not been maintaining the property for a long time, and there's been a
failure of lack of maintenance with regards to health, safety, and welfare. In my 14 years working at the real estate office in Pacific Square, I have seen long-time sewage problems and days without access to a working toilet. In Caro's as well, in the bank building, there's a dental office. My husband went there one day, said he couldn't use the bathroom. I've seen the raw sewage coming out into the parking lot. It's not pretty. There's been a general decline. Landscaping, trash enclosures are filthy, flock of pigeons, droppings from the pigeons everywhere. You can't park your car under the light poles. They have since put some bird wires, but they have not finished the project. They started and didn't finish. So there's just definitely a lack of follow-through and care on the applicant's behalf, and no indication of really wanting to address these issues, in my opinion. So, like Mrs. Roddy stated, I went on LoopNet, which is a commercial multiple listing service, and they're quite clearly printed this portfolio of 4 properties for sale. October 5th, 2016. That's 2016. That's a year ago. Anyway,
you can go ahead.
Okay. You know, we have a petition that residents, neighbors, and leaders and business owners throughout the city signed. And I'm not only speaking for myself, but for everyone else. They went through a great deal of effort because they were really, really concerned that this was going to lead to something else. So thank you very much. I know the Merritt Park residents would be very affected because they're on the east side directly next door. And they have issues currently, and they've had them over the years. So this just was not going to be good for them as well. But thank you for being responsible. You have a responsibility to our city to protect us and to do what is best for the citizens. So thank you very much.
Okay. Is the property owner here?
Mayor Serta, they are not.
Okay. Okay. No? I'm sorry, so there were no other comments or questions at this time. The only comment I want to make is the fact that I'm familiar with a shopping center that my office is in that's owned by, I don't know, 4 or 5 different owners, and it is awful. Landscaping is inconsistent. Just the retarring of the parking area is different. One property will do it, the next one won't. The next one will. The striping is different. One is at an angle, one is straight. On one side of the parking lot, it says you can go one way only. The other side, it says you can go both ways. And even just the aesthetics on the outside of the building, I mean, it's so inconsistent there. So I know that that can be a really big problem. So in my opinion, I think it's a terrible idea to split a property parcel into 4 like that. So it's going to be my recommendation that we direct the staff to uphold, or I'm sorry, to prepare a resolution which upholds the denial of, let me get this right here. Oh, I'm sorry, we're going to close our hearing. Thank you. So my motion is to direct the staff to prepare a resolution that we uphold the Planning Commission's denial of separating the property. I hope I said that right. Okay.
Second.
A second.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Serta?
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Medina?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
And Councilmember Tanaka?
Yes.
Okay, wait a minute, before we go any further, there's a question from Councilmember Henderson.
Mr. City Manager, in regards, what's the cost to put on to televise our council meeting and then put it in loop on the PEG channel, roughly?
I'd have to, it primarily involves staff time because we already have the infrastructure. So it'd be, you know, paying a person on overtime to broadcast the meeting.
Okay, okay.
Okay, and so just for clarification for the audience, this will come back up one more time at our next city council meeting as the council officially votes on the resolution. We just made the motion today, but we will vote on this one more time again at probably our first meeting in January. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so as of right now, we're denying the project. Okay, so we're going to move on to item number 8C1, Mr. City Manager.
Mayor, assorted members of the City Council, agenda number 8C1 is approval of purchase and reimbursement agreement with the South Bay Regional Public Communications Authority to acquire new mobile and portable radios through Motorola Solutions Incorporated in the amount of $1,540,427. The new portable and mobile radios purchased through Motorola Solutions, Inc. are compatible with the new interoperable network of the South Bay, or commonly referred to as INSB, which is a joint powers authority that the city is a member of. The City Council entered in the Joint Powers Authority on May 10, 2016 council meeting. In July of 2017, the South Bay Regional Communications Authority signed documentation to execute a $5 million urban area security initiative to build out 6 transmission receiver sites that will be the backbone of the INSB system. Each city within INSB will be required to purchase new mobile and portable radios that will function with updated digital radio system. The South Bay Regional Public Communications Authority will be purchasing the mobile and portable radios via piggyback purchase through the County of LA contract with Motorola Solutions, and each city will reimburse the authority as payment becomes due. Motorola Solutions, Inc. will provide a 40% discount on the mobile and portable radios with an additional 3% discount on accessories for the portable radios if the procurement occurs before 12/31/2017. Gardena will require 304 new mobile and portable radios to be distributed among police, 229, general services, 75, at a total cost of approximately $1.5 million. Additional expenses for programming and engraving will amount to approximately another $19,000. However, the payment for all of this is not due to the Regional Communications Authority until December of next year. The deadline is November 1st, 2018 to avoid any interest payments pursuant to the agreement with Motorola, Inc. The transition from our current radio system to this interoperable network of the South Bay will be consistent with the entire county's transition to an interoperable communications system. The system that we currently use operates on a very analog, simple system. The new system is a digital trunked network system, which is the standard in public safety communications. The funding source, though, is coming from a couple different funding sources. The price tag of $1.5 million, of course, is considerable. But as part of the ownership of the South Bay Public Communications Authority, the city is able to generate revenue because we have subscribers. So a good portion of that funding will come from revenue derived from our ownership of the authority. And then the second will be through supplemental funding through our Fund 15 account. Because the purchase payment's not due until 2018, we'll have 2 budget cycles to acquire the revenue source from the South Bay Regional Communications Authority. So the fiscal impact to the city out of the Fund 15 should be fairly minimal. What is required is to approve purchase and reimbursement agreement with the South Bay Regional Public Communications Authority.
Okay, thank you. At this time, does any member of the council have any questions or comments? Councilmember Henderson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Chief, for making it clear that there's minimal impact on the general fund. However, a question I have, is there a way we can work to get more subscribers so we can increase the revenue on that? Is that a possibility?
So that's a good question. There's two joint powers authorities that we're working. The first one is the one that we have been a member with for over, basically 30 years. There are 3 owning cities: the city of Gardena, the city of Hawthorne, the city of Manhattan Beach. Everyone else on that system, for example, El Segundo, Hermosa, Culver City now, are subscribers, so they pay a fee. That is where it generates the money. We have, it is estimated, the ability to add maybe 1 more city before the infrastructure is maxed out relative to the physical space in the building. But it's an interesting question. The second JPA, the INSB, is working on being able to look at adding subscriber units. For example, there's a major refinery, not the one that was talked about today here, but another one in the region that's maybe looking at adding it. There's potential to add school districts, El Camino College, those other things that would provide a additional revenue source.
Are there any other questions or comments at this time? If not, can I get a motion to approve the purchase and reimbursement agreement?
Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Tanaka and a second by Councilmember Henderson. Will you call the roll?
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Medina.
Yes.
Councilmember Kaskanian.
Yes.
And Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, next up is item number AC2.
Mayor Serta,
City
members,
Manager.
City Council. Agenda item 8C2, A, B, and C is the approve amendment and addition to parking districts and establish restricted parking in certain defined areas within the city. There are three items that need to be addressed, A, B, and C, by the City Council. Authorize the addition of Parking District 5 to include 132nd Street from Van Ness Avenue to Cimarron Avenue, Haas Avenue from 132nd Street to 129th Street, Daleside Avenue from 132nd Street to 129th Street, Cimarron from 132nd to 129th, Haas Avenue to Cimarron Avenue, west side of Van Ness from 132nd Street to 134th Place, Spinning Avenue from 132nd Street to 134th Place, 134th Place from Van Ness to Perchie, and Daphne Avenue from 134th Place to the dead end at 134th Place from 2100 to Van Ness Avenue. The second item, B, is authorize the amendment of special district regulations to include parking district number 5. No parking between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. Monday through Sunday, except as authorized by this code. And finally, would be to introduce ordinance number 1784, amending section 10.28290 and adding section 10.28387 of the Gardena Municipal Code to establish restricted parking zones on certain streets in the city. This has been a fairly controversial item in the areas that I've mentioned that are affected. And I thought, rather than reading through, I would ask Lieutenant Pendergast, who has been on the front lines through all of this, to explain the process that brought us to this item coming before City Council, because as you recall, this was sent back.
Thank you, Chief and Mayor and members of City Council. As you're aware, when a parking district is requested, the traffic department within the city gets that request and evaluates it, and we conduct a number of things. Generally speaking, we do public hearings or public meetings, and in this case, in June of 2017, we received two separate requests, one from the west side of Van Ness, as the city manager described, and also the north side of Raleigh Park. So the west side of Raleigh Park and the north side. Both of those came in to us, and once, and they brought, I think, before City Council the petitions. Those petitions were sent to us. On the north side, about 56 of the 113 homes had initially been surveyed, which is only about 49% of the occupied homes in that region. And on the other side of Van Ness, 39 out of the 62 homes were surveyed, which is about 63% of the homes. So the traffic committee held a public hearing, and we had several speakers from the community that came up, along with commissioners, members of they were concerned with the use of the park and the restrictions of parking surrounding the park. So when the traffic committee met, their concerns were threefold. One was the community and their initial request for the parking district. The second was the community that attends the park that may not live in that immediate area and their access to the park. And the third was the park staff and employees and their input in the project, or the permits. So we took all those into consideration, or at least the traffic committee members did. Initially, they didn't make a decision because there was more work to be done and more surveys to be done, they felt. So they had directed staff, Deputy Chief Kang directed staff to do a door-to-door survey. So we sent our police officers and a sergeant out from the Traffic Bureau who did a door-to-door survey in both areas. And in the second survey that was conducted by the the department, we surveyed 90. I'm sorry, let me pull it here. 99 of the 113 occupied homes in the north side of Raleigh Park, and 78 out of those 99 homes were in favor of a parking district, which represents about 79% of the residents. Only a simple majority of them wanted a 24/7, and the rest wanted 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., which is when the park is closed. Those are the options that we had based on the feedback we got from the traffic committee. There are problems during the day relative to the skate park, and as well as nighttime problems with people parking and playing their music loud or smoking drugs or doing other illicit activity, and also people parking overnight or long periods of time, taking up the parking. So to sum it up, we had both areas were surveyed. The area west of Van Ness, including Spinning and Daphne and 134th Place, that area we surveyed 68 of the 92 homes in that area, and that represents 74% of the homeowners. And of that, 74% were in favor of parking district in that area. So I know that there might be other questions. I know people want to speak on this issue.
Just a follow-up, there was a second traffic committee meeting that was held by the same members that officiated over the first traffic committee meeting to discuss the results of the surveys that Lieutenant Pendergast just discussed, and ultimately made the recommendation to move forward with a proposed parking district amendment and addition as reflected in this agenda item.
Okay. Lieutenant Pendergrass, while we have you up here, you mentioned there were 3 components here. One, the community, their concerns, which you stated. But what was the concerns that those who attend the park, and then also what were the concerns of the park staff?
The park staff represented, and the commissioners and people that attend the park, was that during the peak time, they would have cheerleading and football and baseball, that oftentimes there's not enough parking inside the park, so it flows over into the neighborhood. Also, people that attend the park during the day, that come and want to watch their children or grandchildren play on the playground on 132nd, they want to be able to park on those streets and be able to at least see them or, walk closely to them.
Park on the streets, meaning on 132nd Street, Haas Street, and so on?
Yes, Haas, Daleside, and Cimarron.
Okay. And you said those who attend the park, the park staff said that there wasn't enough parking in the park?
Yes, they said that during the peak times and on weekends, that oftentimes there's not enough parking in the park or.
Okay, got it. Okay, does any council member have any questions or comments? And before I go to that, I'm sorry, one more time. Madam City Clerk, I have 1, 2, 3 speakers here. Were there any more?
No, that's it. We don't have any more.
Okay. Who wanted to speak on this? Councilmember Cascania.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Lieutenant Pendergrass, how many parking we have at the park over there?
How
in
many
the front? Yeah, parking
spaces?
Yes.
Roughly. I want to say about 250, if that's what's coming to mind. I didn't have that with me.
Well,
roughly,
something
plus
like
or
180?
minus.
Could
something
be.
like that. I think that's what I counted.
So if we're having cheerleading or any sort of games, we're having over 250 vehicles at a time over there?
I probably wouldn't be the best person to answer that question, maybe, but that's what I'm told.
So the premise of 250 cars, I'm not sure that's really established. The mayor indicated that she did her own personal count, so let's just range that to between 180 and 200 parking spaces. Better person to ask about facility usage and overflow would be the Parks Director, Kelly Fugio.
Okay. Kelly, if you're available.
Can I say something as a coach?
She's coming forward. Go ahead.
Well, while Kelly comes up, I coached at that park for almost 29 years, and regardless of what events are happening there, it's always crowded, because we have a lot of events at Raleigh Park, and kids, adults, dancing, square dancing, basketball games. The place is always, always packed, which is an attribute to Kelly and the scheduling that she does with the kids and the parents.
Go ahead.
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, as you know, Raleigh Park is our largest park in the city of Gardena. It's nearly 18 acres large. We have approximately 200 spots, as you said, at the park. There's 3 different parking lots on the north, the west, and the south of the park. As you know, a lot of the activity happens in the auditorium and the gymnasium, and so people would like to park on the north side, whether or not it's the streets or the Van Ness side. We have 4 baseball diamonds, 4 tennis courts, a gymnasium, an auditorium, 3 classrooms, 2 outdoor basketball courts, and we have a lot of activities going on. Well, and a skateboard park too. And as Lieutenant Prendergast mentioned, there are a lot of parents who, or grandparents who like to drive to the park, and they used to park on 132nd Street so they can observe their children inside the parking in the playground area up there. Oh, I didn't mention we have, of course, 3 picnic shelters also at that park. So there are sometimes enough parking spots, sometimes are not. You all frequent the park enough to know that there are even times that we don't open the south gate, because the south gate down there, you know, there's only 2 staff who work our park at any given time in those 18 hours or 18 acres. So the staff have to not just take signups and do registration and watch the inside of the gymnasium as well as the auditorium, but they also have to then police the perimeter of the park, which means to walk around the entire park to make sure that there are no things, bad things going on at the facility. So it is quite busy.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to bring the speakers up at this point here now. First one is Deborah Griffin. And then after Deborah is Brenda Jackson, and then Wilhelmina Bradley Grant.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Serta and the Gardena City Council members. I hope this is our final time for this. But I think as far as the way we did the petitions for the parking, I was a spokesperson for 134th West, 132nd to 134th, and 134th Place to Perching, 2200 block to the 4400 block. They have entrusted me to represent them, and I hope that I've done it well. But when I went around to pick up one of the neighbors for the meeting tonight, he lives on the other end of Van Ness and 132nd. So went around the corner, came around and picked him up. When I passed down Van Ness, coming here, there were no parking spaces at 7 o'clock p.m. And we have many of the residents that live on Van Ness, they're sitting here. So at 7 p.m., there were no parking spaces. So to say 10 p.m., we're not covering the residents that need, when they get off work or wherever, to be able to park at a decent hour. 10 p.m. is too late. I know I'm asleep. I'm not that old, but I'm in bed. So I'm asking the council members and mayor that you amend that time in purpose of, for the residents, because it needs to be amended. And that, what he came up with, I don't think it's accurate as far as unanimous on the time of 10 p.m. is not for Van Ness and not for 134th Place. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next is Brenda Jackson, and then after that is Wilhelmina Bradley Grant.
Honorable Mayor and council members, thank you for giving me the opportunity to represent my neighbors on Haas, 129th, Delside, and Cimarron Block Club. Let me give you a little history. Yes, there's 200 spots that are located at the park, give or take a few. Mostly on the north side, where we're located on 132nd Street. Very rarely are those parking spots ever even halfway full, even when they have tennis matches going on. We've never had an issue in our community. I've been there for 27 years. We've never had an issue before the skateboard park came with the baseball, the football, the dance classes, the cheerleading. It's never been an issue. What has happened to us is that unfortunately, with the location of the skateboard park, we were very supportive of the skateboard park, but just not in that location. It was down below, further on in that park. But what has happened is another element has come. Yes, Kelly has said that, you guys had said, I guess the police officer, is that the grandparents want to park on 132nd Street so they can watch their grandkids. Why would they do that? When Gardena built a beautiful gazebo. They used to be able to sit there and watch their grandkids. You know why they have to sit in their cars? They feel comfortable in their cars? Because there's too many drug activities going on. So it's not just fun and games, folks, okay? It is drugs going on, dealing all the time. We always call Lieutenant Prendergast to let him know that there are tennis shoes thrown over the telephone line. What does that signify? You know, Councilman Tanaka, they're selling drugs over there. Okay? So we're sick and tired of that. You guys helped us, the police department helped us put together a questionnaire. There were four items on that questionnaire. One was, no, I don't want a parking permit. 2 was 24 hours. 3 was 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. 4 was 5 p.m. to 6 a.m. Nowhere on that questionnaire that the police department developed was there 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. That is unacceptable to us. Now, I challenge you, council people, and also our honorable mayor. You guys came to our neighborhood while you were campaigning. You wanted our support. We put our signs on your lawn, on our lawn, supporting you. We told you what was going on in our neighborhood, and you said you'd be there to support us. This is the time to see if you will. Thank you very much.
Wilhelmina Bradley Grant.
Okay, she had to leave because she has to be at work at 6:30 in the morning. So I would like to read it, and I'll let you have it. Can we do that?
You can go ahead and read your time. Go ahead.
It says, Honorable Mayor and council members, I am representing the Haas Avenue 29th Street Block Club. Reiterate our request to have a 24-hour parking permit. We have come before you previously in good faith to present the negative issues that impact our community, and we believe 24-hour parking permits will resolve. We do not accept the proposal of the permits limited to 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., as we believe that is not good faith and does not address the issue. We are longtime residents and care about our community that pay taxes and vote in the elections. We are asking that you support our request as we have supported you. Wilhelmina Bradley Grant, signed today. Would you like this, Becky?
Okay. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Any member of the council wish to say anything? Councilmember Kaskanian, go.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Maybe we can ask this question to the Lieutenant Prendergast. What's the possibility during any activities going on at the park that we can have parking enforcement directing this vehicle to the appropriate parking lots? To the east side, to the south side, and the west side, instead of parking on 132nd, Haas, Dale side, and Cimarron, or west side of Van Ness. How can we do this? Can we solve this problem like that?
I think that if our parking enforcement worked with the staff, Kelly's staff, to maybe have signage or have some direction, traffic control, certainly we can do that. I think it would be a campaign, an information campaign to the parents who bring their kids there, to the adults that use the facilities, to encourage them to use the parking lot rather than parking in the street. Certainly that can be addressed.
Councilmember Kaskanian, if I may add, I mean, it would be an unrealistic expectation to have parking enforcement there continuously encouraging or trying to, direct people to parking unless we direct staff just for that purpose, which would, I would not recommend. It would be okay for a while we did it, but once that presence was gone, it would probably reoccur. So maybe you could change the culture in terms of people who frequent the park to park in the parking lots as opposed to the streets, but having, you know, sort of a full-time presence there is unrealistic.
All right. Then my other question will be, how about if we change the hours? Instead of 10 o'clock, we'll do it at 7 o'clock, 7 p.m., the parking permits. Nobody can park after 7 p.m. if you don't have parking permits. Is that feasible?
I think that we would have to go back to the community with a survey specific to that, or staff can, City Council can direct the
We
chief.
can continue discussing this even more. Do you have any other questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Henderson.
Since we're definitely going to discuss some more, I'll keep my questions brief. I had a couple questions in regards to Raleigh Park West. First of all, double check the survey instrument to make sure that we got all the proper selections on there. But in regards to whether it's 10 p.m. or 7 p.m. or 24 hours on the west, if I don't have one of those permits, during those hours, will I still be allowed to park on Van Ness East, next to the park and in the park?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. This does not address the east side of Van Ness between 134th and 132nd.
So just kind of follow me a little bit. So if we put the permits for Raleigh Park West, I'll get to the north in a minute. We get to Raleigh Park West, it resolves their issue as far as whatever time we select, and then those that park there now that kind of take up the space, they can park on Van Ness. Because what I'm trying to stop us from shifting the problem somewhere else in the city as best we can. So they're okay to park in the parking on the east side of Van Ness, so that's good. So to my colleague's point on the north, because the parking lot is on the east side of the tennis courts and the playground is on the west side of the tennis courts, we could make 24-hour, a 24-hour permit or 7 p.m. or whatever to kind of get people to park in the southern or that eastern parking lot, but then we'd have to get a better path of travel from that parking lot to the playground. And I'm sure everybody's going to address the crime and everything. I'm sure we're all hot on that one, so we're all going to go up there tonight and going to start do some stuff on that. But is there a way that we can make sure that there's some sort of better path of travel for folks that want to park in that tennis court parking lot and then walk to the playground and sit in the gazebo and watch their grandchildren and children?
Councilman, if you recall, if you look at the park and the way it is laid out, you would have to do some significant movement of current facilities to provide better direct access from the east parking lot to the area you're describing. I don't believe that would be feasible without, you know, significant infrastructure investment. And it may not be palatable to the community because you could affect some of the tennis courts or other things in there that, you know, would inhibit the use of those facilities.
Okay, so I'm okay with that. I agree with that. So then maybe we definitely have to work on the crime element up there. So we'll address that. I'm confident we'll address that. So for the north, it sounds like they just would require 24-hour permits, and then we just go with, if they have company, they have to just come grab some guest parking passes or something like that.
If the council elected to change the hours, then it would be similar to all of our other parking districts where, you know, residents are allowed permits for themselves as well as have access to temporary permits.
Go ahead.
So now, let's go further north to where 129th is. And so now we have all those multi-unit dwellings up there, and everybody parks now down around 129th. So where would we anticipate those folks parking at this point? Because now they're going to either have to go all the way around to Western to start parking, or...
So, Councilman Henderson, you bring up a good point, and it's probably the same point I brought up in a couple of different issues regarding these parking districts is we're dispersing the problem. We're not necessarily solving it. So that is correct, and you have seen where we have established parking districts, and now we are expanding them continuously. So for example, on the west side of Van Ness, that probably is somewhat impacted because of the parking districts we did on the other side of 135th that has displaced the parking from those apartment complexes there north. So we're doing a lot of displacement. There's not a lot of solution because we are a city that's predominantly built out. So it is difficult to project what would happen once that parking is restricted along, anywhere south of El Segundo, essentially.
Okay, I think we're just going to take the questions and go in this order here. I have a comment actually to make in regards to this here. I've been very much aware of the two issues going on both 134th and Van Ness, as well as what's happening over on Hosdale side and Cimarron. And as the chief mentioned, back a few years ago when the residents on Van Ness between 135th to 139th were parking in the residential areas on Spinning and Daphne, they had to create those parking districts there just to, alleviate the residents there. And as a result, those vehicles now start parking on 134th and Van Ness and all down 134th, which now impacted the area that Ms. Griffin is speaking of here. And I know it's really bad because there's nowhere to park on those streets, and I don't think it's fair for people to have to park a block or so away from where they live. Now, on the issue of Haas, Daleside, and Cimarron, they were totally impacted because of the skateboard park. And I remember when that first issue came about back in, I think it was 2009, when they built the skateboard park, there were meetings that were held. The residents came out and they said, we're not against the skateboard park. It was, as was mentioned earlier, we're just concerned about the location of it. And at that time, it was said, if there are any issues or concerns, we will work with you. Well, the residents there have said several times that, yes, there are problems there. This is the third parking permit that was submitted to the city. What happened to the first two? I don't know. It never should have come down to 3 parking, surveys that were done. But now we're at this point here. I have personally seen where people were parking on their streets there. I've gotten phone calls from residents that were calling me while they were arguing with an adult who's skating over in the parking area, because it's not just kids skating there, but they're adults. They're arguing with the resident. They're throwing bottles out there. I've seen the residents out there cleaning this up. I've gotten phone calls about people having sex in their cars, people who are leaving trash out there. I've witnessed this. I've driven over there myself. I've seen where the parking lots on the, the back side of the park, which is, I guess, the north side behind the tennis courts, where they're not being utilized. I understand the parking lot on the Van Ness side is usually nowhere to park there. And I attend that park all the time for various functions. But, this is one of those quality of life issues that residents shouldn't have to deal with. Now, moving forward here, how we got to 10 o'clock at night to 6 a.m. in the morning, I don't know. In actuality, it should be a 24-hour parking permit. And the reason being is most people, when they start getting home from work, they start coming home from work around 4, 5, 6 o'clock. Why should they wait until 10 o'clock until the folks from the park finish utilizing the park and moving their cars from in front of their homes? And now the residents have to get out of bed to go move their car in front of their house now. It doesn't make any sense to me. Now, the residents on Van Ness, they don't have driveways in the front of the house. They have to park around the alley, the backside there. There's a couple of houses on, I believe, Haas, and I think on Daleside, they may not have a driveway in the front. They, too, have to utilize the alley along the backside. So I don't feel like we should have to cater to the people at the park. They're visitors. These are homeowners who are here. They're the ones who pay the taxes to the city of Gardena. And as was mentioned earlier today, all of us were out there campaigning saying, we were going to support you, we want to be your voice here on the city council. Well, now they're here, and now they're asking for this here. So I think it's in the best interest to give them 24-hour parking permits in both areas. The two of them are dealing with two separate situations. In regards to the crime issue, we're definitely going to, get on that more. I know it needs to be more patrolling through there, but this is something that's definitely needed. I don't want to hear of a situation later on where you hear about a resident getting into it with, somebody visiting the park, because I know that those situations can get volatile. I've seen it. I've actually driven over there, like I said, and had to tell the person to walk away, call the police, because, grown adults are arguing with the people there. Now, yes, the park staff, if we have more people there, they should be walking around and telling people not to park there. But unfortunately, that's not happening. So, now it's come to us and we have to make a decision here. So this is a quality of life issue, and I think we should support the residents with this item here. So, Mayor Pro Tem, you had comments or questions?
No, I have a comment, which is the residents were there prior to the park being there. The residents were there before the people started visiting the skate park. So the residents should have what they want, which is 24-hour parking. I'm full of support of giving them what they need, because one of the things that you need to do as residents is when you see people doing that, you already know who your representative is. Call him. Call your police representative. Don't try to take the law into your own hands, because sometimes, especially in the way the conditions our country is in right now, everybody gets hostile. And most of them are packing. If it's not a knife, a pen, or a gun, don't put your life in jeopardy. Let the people who know how to handle that take care of it. And that's one of the reasons why our police chief got together those districts, so you can have people that you can reach out to and get support. So don't take the law into your hands. Ask the people who know about the law and enforce it. But I'm in full support of the 24-hour permit.
Let me go to Councilmember Tanaka, and then I'll go back to
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My first concern, though, is it was brought up tonight by at least two of the citizens that the petition actually was not from 10. It was different hours. So that's my problem is, why is it that when they sign a petition for one time, all of a sudden it goes to a different time? So that would be one problem. The other problem is that, okay, as a patrolman working the police department, Raleigh Park was one of my favorite places to drive through. Even when the gate on the south side was locked, we found a way to get through there. But the parking lots were never full. Okay? The one that's full is usually the one on the west side of the park, because that's the closest one to all the facilities. So the other parking lots are empty. Okay. Now, I wasn't around when that skate park was built. So before then, there was never a problem with parking in that park in the park. There was always spaces. So if the skateboard park is a problem, why don't we just close the park, the skateboard park, at a certain time during the day, and say you can't skate in the park, instead of making all of our citizens in that area subject to having to come out to these meetings, to sign petitions, to do all these things to make 24-hour parking, when is the simple solution just saying, let's close the skate park at a certain hour so those people can't get in there and they can't take the parking spaces?
Councilmember Tanaka, it's during the daytime as well, too. They pull up right in front during the daytime, park the car, clean out the car, throw their bottles out, and keep going. So it's all the time.
Mayor Serta, if I could just add a couple things. One, the skate park is subject to the same hours as the park, so it is hour controlled by a time. I do want to address the issue of the survey and what it actually contained that was sent out the second time. Lieutenant Pendergast?
Yes, so the first survey that was submitted included 56 of the 113 homes only, and the survey, as indicated by Ms. Jackson, was 4 options: a 24/7, no parking district, 5 p.m. to 5 a.m., and 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. There was no majority, from my recollection. I have the permits, or the surveys. And also during the traffic committee meeting, after hearing from residents on both sides, I think in order to simplify and also to accommodate the park's concerns, the people that visit the park and the staff, the decision was made to give them an option of 24/7 parking permits, or 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., which is when the park is closed, so it wouldn't have an effect. Now, there were 53% of the homeowners on the north side of the park that were in favor of 24/7.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Henderson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was just going back through the streets and everything. So Parking District 5 then also would include, if we go 24-hour with the Riley Park North and Riley Park West, it then also includes Van Ness Avenue East and 134th Place East as well. Because otherwise, we're just
Yes, Councilman Henderson, like anything that comes before the city council, this is a staff recommendation. It's the council's prerogative to, you know, set the public policy that it deems is appropriate for the area. So if it elects to make modifications, staff will take those back and you'll vote on it and we'll implement those recommendations.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments at this time? Because if not, I want to make a motion that we amend the staff recommendation from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. and instead make it a 24-hour parking restriction.
Second that motion.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by myself and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Medina. Will you call the roll?
Mayor Serta,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Medina,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
before Mark, yes, are we just doing one piece at a time as far as the hours, or then now we're going to talk about expansion of the district as well?
I'm assuming what you are voting on is what is contained in terms of the parameters of that I defined relative to the streets, not an expansion thereof. If that is required, then that would have to be, you know, verbalized in terms of what you're specifically speaking of. But I thought the motion was relative to just the hours.
It's relative to the hours and to all the streets that have been discussed here, from Van Ness and 132nd, Van Ness and 134th, all the way to 130, the whole listing here, all
Right.
the streets that are on here.
We don't cover East. We don't cover Van Ness East and 134th Place East. That's not in there.
134th did not want to be a part of this.
Right, but they're about to experience.
No. We don't have them in here. 134th Street, east of that, the cul-de-sac street, that is
included.
south.
It is included, the cul-de-sac is included.
Cul-de-sac is included.
Okay, I know for a fact, well, I'm sorry, let me take it back. We did a survey on that street as far as who wanted to participate in there.
Yes, on the 2100 block of 134th Place, from the cul-de-sac, or from the address of 2100 down to Van Ness. 30 out of the 33 homes are surveyed. That's 91% of the homes. 63% are in favor. That's 19 out of 30. And 37% are opposed. That's 11 out of 30.
There's a cul-de-sac on both ends of 134th Place, though.
Correct.
This only goes down to Perchie.
So, but I'm speaking of, and you're right, the folks that were on 134th Place east of Van Ness, they didn't want to be involved with the parking permits, and that part I do recall. However, if we put 24 hours everywhere else, they're going to be immediately impacted soon as we do that. I'm trying to stop us from now having to take care of them coming back and just do it all at once.
Well, hold on a second. I do remember having a conversation with a couple of people there, and they said they didn't care because they didn't want to deal with it. But if now in the survey, you have surveyed
We
that
have
area and
surveys.
you have actual stats from it, then we need to include them in this.
All right, so then my vote was yes on the motion.
Okay. I'm sorry, Madam City Clerk, will you continue, please? Councilmember Henderson said,
yes, and then Councilmember Tanaka. No,
Councilmember
yes.
Tanaka?
Tanaka.
On the motion is to direct staff to rewrite the ordinance to do this, is that correct?
yes.
Change the ordinance that's here.
Yes,
We're not-
that is the motion to
we're not
change the ordinance to
modifying
24
the
hours.
ordinance Here, we're going to come back with a revised ordinance.
Correct, and you will come back with a revised ordinance here. With only the streets that are listed on here, and the streets that have been listed and surveyed, correct? Okay. Councilmember, I'm sorry, we were in the middle of a vote. Go ahead, continue.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
And Councilmember Cascanian.
Yes.
Okay, so as of right now, this is a yes. The staff is directed to come back with the right wording that states it'll be 24 hours, and this will be, I'm sure, again, at the next city council meeting.
We will bring back the amended ordinance to the city council, the next
Okay.
council meeting.
One point of clarification, so now, is this for A, B, or A, B, and C, or do we have to address those differently? Okay, so this will include A, B, and C. Okay, all right. Okay, next up is item number 8C, I'm sorry, 8E1, Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda number 8E1 is an amended funding agreement between the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority and the City of Gardena for Line 2 traffic signal priority. If we could please have it quiet inside so that we can finish our business. Thank you. In 2009, G-Trans was awarded funding through the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transit Authority, LAC MTA, for call for projects. This is a competitive bidding process that distributes discretionary capital transportation funds to regionally significant projects. Transit Security Priority Project, or often referred to as TSP, received funding to signalize its Line 2 loop, a project that would upgrade intersections with signal priority firmware software to improve bus running times and on-time performance. This technology would also integrate with other upcoming G-Trans Intelligent Transportation Systems, ITS projects, including the Computer Automated Dispatching and Vehicle Location System, CAD AVL solution, and a real-time passenger information system. G-Trans has already secured ITS consulting services to assist with the procurement, solicitation, and deployment of on-street transit signal prioritization system. However, in order to coordinate timing with G-Trans' upcoming ITS projects, LAC MTA has granted a schedule extension to allow for a new project completion deadline of June 2020. The extension will ensure that G-Trans' multiple ITS projects will be fully integrated and operational before the funding deadline. G-Trans was awarded $675,000 in LA County Prop C 25% funds through the 2009 LAC MTA call for projects with a local match of $168,644,000 funded by local funds available to G-Trans. There is no general fund impact. What's required is to approve the amendment.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments from any council members? No? If not, can I get a motion to approve the amendment for the funding agreement?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Medina and a second by Councilmember Tanaka. Will you call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Medina.
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Kaskanian.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Next up is item number 8E2. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 8E2 is amend 3 funding agreements by and between the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transit Authority and the City of Gardena for the purchases of buses. G-Trans was awarded funding for LAC MTA 2007, 2009, and 2013 call for projects for the planned total purchase of 14 alternative fuel buses. In February 2017, Council directed G-Trans to amend its existing fleet plan to pursue a mixture of compressed natural gas, CNG, and electric buses over the next 5 years. G-Trans would now like to use these funds to purchase CNG vehicles instead of electric vehicles. Because CNG buses are less expensive than electrical buses, there's a cost savings that will be recognized by LACMTA and G-Trans. Total award from LACMTA will be reduced by $470,864, and G-Trans local match commitment is reduced by $2,004,121. CNG buses are budgeted for $700,000 per bus. This includes spare parts, training, and all the onboard features such as wheelchair, securements, head signs, etc., that are installed on each bus. Electric buses are estimated at roughly $1 million per bus. Upon execution of the agreements with LAC, MTA, G-Trans can begin to amend its federal grants and begin the solicitation process for its new CNG buses under its fleet replacement program. G-Trans will realize a total of $2,004,121 in cost savings tied to the portion of its fleet replacement project as a result of the decision to pursue CNG buses. G-Trans originally committed its future available sales tax dollars for this planned project, which will now be available for other projects. There is no general fund impact. What's required is to approve the amendments.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions any council member has on this item? Councilmember Henderson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to thank Assistant City Manager or Acting City Manager, Chief of Police. It's getting late. It's 10:45. But thank you for jumping in there in regards to the training and parts and extra replacement parts for the CNG buses and everything. But the one question I did have was, how frequently are our mechanics getting trained for the CNG buses as far as the maintenance goes?
Well, currently we don't have any CNG buses, so they're going to be all completely trained in how to maintain those, as well as infrastructure improvements at the facility to be able to maintain CNG buses.
Any other questions? Mayor Pro Tem Medina?
It's not a question, it's actually a comment, and I'd like to commend Mr. Crespo for reaching out to Metropolitan and garnering that grant. I had mentioned it to our acting city manager that when we were at the COG, they mentioned that some grants were coming down the hill or down the road, and being part of the regional council helps out a lot. So I commend both of you for taking advantage of those grants.
Okay, are there any other questions? Go
Thank you,
ahead,
Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Does this mean that we're going to completely eliminate electric buses?
No, it's
This
just
is
kind of a
just-
rescheduling of those purchases.
Okay, any other questions, comments? No? If not, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
So, second.
Okay. Madam City, I'm sorry, where was the motion?
Councilmember Henderson made, made the motion, and Mayor Pro Tem Medina.
Okay,
did
it's
the
getting
second.
late. Okay, Madam City Clerk, will you call the roll?
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Medina.
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian.
Yes.
And Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, next we're on to council directives.
Mayor, certain members, the city council, just to follow up on some of the items that came to the city manager for follow-up. There's a memo in there about LED street lights. The city has...
Hold on, acting city manager, sorry, not yet. These are council directives first. Let's go to that one first. And then we'll let you do your remarks. We just jumped ahead a little bit. It's okay. Yeah. Does any member of the council, it's okay, it's okay. Any member of the council have any directives? Councilmember Henderson.
Yes, I would just like to get a presentation on the city's strategy to address the unfunded liability that we have for CalPERS and employee retirement.
Okay, any other directives at this time? Okay, I have one directive.
Mayor Wilcar, second.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'll second that. I have a directive at this time. I would like to review the sign ordinance as it relates to real estate agents, their signs that they put out for open houses. I'm concerned that they fall into the same category that we, that garage signs and like garage sale signs are, where they're not permitted. I believe that the signs that real estate agents put out help sell properties within our city, which benefits us all. So I'd like to see if we could review that particular item as it relates to real estate signs. And hopefully I can get a second on that.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any other directives? If not, Mr. City Manager, it's your time.
Thank you, Mayor. As indicated, the first item is the LED street lights. The city has approximately 3,300 street lights that are owned and operated by the Southern California Edison. What was asked was whether or not those conversions have been made, and they have not. But we're going to request from Southern California Edison to begin a rollout plan to improve our lights to the LED. The next item is an item that is coming before you as a result of council discussion. You have in your packages two memorandums about fireworks related to whether or not the city has authority to cause a moratorium to go into effect relative to the use of safe and sane fireworks. The short answer to that is because of the way the item ended up on the ballot, the city council does have a moratorium, does have the ability to issue a moratorium on fireworks. The second directive in there has to do with if you were to issue a moratorium, or if you just wanted to put that item back on the ballot, when would be the next available time? That would be in 2020. If council is desiring for us to do either of those two things, I would need direction from the council, either to bring back a council agenda item on those items, or just to disregard them and just provide the information.
Okay, thank you. So next up is council remarks. First one up is Councilmember Cascanian.
Mayor, there was a request there to see
Oh,
if there was a.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It is late.
I'm sorry,
So
could you
the
repeat that last
information
thing?
is, at this point, we've provided the information. Is it council's desire for us to bring this back at some later time with a moratorium? That discussion needs to be had by council.
Okay. Well, I would like to see this come back to the council as an action item for the consideration of a moratorium. And do we need a second for this here? So hopefully one of my colleagues will second this, because this is something definitely of concern to our community here. Just
Second.
thank you. Okay.
Thank you. The next is the memo in there about the Self-Reliant Joint Powers Authority proposal. At some point, I will be bringing back to the City Council a recommendation on whether to join or not join the Joint Powers Authority. There's also a memo in there about property abatement at 14717 Roxton that was brought up at a meeting. And as always, there is a pretty detailed memo regarding citywide projects that have been submitted or are in plan, and I'd ask you to take a look at that because there's some significant activity occurring in Gardena. There was two things. Mayor Tanaka asked about hepatitis A shots. Those shots started today. We'll be running for a couple weeks to employees who want to get a hepatitis A shots. I think they had a session here today this morning at 10 and one at 5 p.m. I think, again, Thursday at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. And they'll be running until hopefully most of our employees who elect to get the shots get them. And then lastly, the Gardena Business Economic Advisory Committee met for the first time. It was a robust meeting. I think there's a lot of energy to move forward to help support our economic development strategic plan. That's the end of my reports, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, regarding the JPA joining or not joining, I really feel we should have a closed session conversation about that. So everyone's on the same page about that, since I was a former member of the JPA.
Yeah, there would be no basis for allowing us to do a closed session on that specific item. I can bring it back as a presentation with follow-up discussion.
I think that would be a good idea. Are you okay with that? Sure. Okay. Do you need a second on that as well?
All directives required to.
Okay. I'll second that. Okay. Anything else? That's it? Okay. We're going to move on to council remarks. Councilmember Cascanian.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I know it's a little late, and we're just going to cut it short over here. November 28th, we welcomed Santa Claus in our city with the Winter Wonderland. It was a great event, a lot of people, a lot of kids having fun. Thank you, Kelly and Steph, again. You are always doing the right things and the right jobs in the city over here as far as the helping us, be up there. So thank you, Kelly. December 1st, I attended the breakfast with the mayor at El Polo Inca, hosted by South Bay Realtor Board of Association. A lot of real estate agent was present, and they all gave their input regarding City of Gardena, how it's growing. Just for an information, median house in City of Gardena right now, it stands at a little over $500,000. December 4th, I attended a Christmas party, Assemblyman Mike Gibson. And December the 5th, I attended the meeting of the City Finance Committee meeting. I can say that we are in a good shape. Thank you, City Manager and the staff member. And I would like to wish everybody happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Hopefully 2018 will be a great year for all of us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next is Councilmember Tanaka.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to keep mine really short. We did the Santa Winter Wonderland. Thank you, Kelly, and your staff. Thanks to the police department bringing their sleigh out. The Elks did a Build-A-Bear. We did 180-something bears. The mayor was there, and last Sunday we gave probably 160 of them away to unprivileged kids. That was pretty good. And I just want to wish everybody, I'm sure we're going to probably see each other again, but happy Hanukkah today. Today is actually the day. Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy everything. Happy everything. Good night.
Okay, thank you. Next is Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And because the hour is long, I will be brief, but I would like to say that I did, while we were gone since our last meeting, I did get a chance to spend with the Torrance Refinery Action Committee and everything, and it was getting some education on that. It's something we should probably really see if we want to put our support behind, because if there is a fatal disaster, as we talk about CERT training and everything and all that, we get this crazy cloud and we're in the death circle. So anytime I'm in the death circle of anything, my anxiety starts to get up. So we really want to figure out what we need to do to make sure that we safeguard our city. So I'll bring some more further information to that, but we should start looking into that and meeting with that group. Also want to thank the Parks and Recreation staff for what they did with our holiday parties, tree lighting, Gardena Craft Fair. I want to thank Assemblyman Al Marisucci and our chief, Deputy Kang, and acting city manager, police chief Ed Madrano for coffee with the chief, with the assembly member. It was a great opportunity for the community to get out and speak to our other assembly person that represents Gardena. Also that day I attended a Limitless Government Technology Forum, and they had all these great ideas, but nobody talked about where the funding's coming from to do all these great and wonderful things. So that's something that I think our whole sector needs to figure out what we need to do, because our resources are finite. I also had a chance to spend time with the Masons at the Gardena Moneta Lodge at their new officer installation. That was a great event. I also had a chance to represent Gardena as the president-elect of Independent Cities Association at their holiday party. I was able to bring some joy to some kids at King Drew Medical Center that suffer from sickle cell anemia, so we were part of their festivities and giving them toys. Also, this time, I'm sure it's going to be mentioned, but I want to give my condolences to the Harold Love family. I actually grew up with Harold. I've been knowing him since I was a kid, so the kids grew up together, so that's a real tough blow. So that family is going to be impacted greatly during this holiday season, as we wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, have a great, safe New Year and everything, and let's do something for somebody else. Madam Mayor, ends my report.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to try to be as brief as possible. I'm going to try to keep mine under 3 minutes here. So since the last council meeting, I attended the LA Emergency Operations Center in the city of LA to learn more about how the city of LA prepares for major catastrophes, and had a great tour of their emergency facility, and learned a lot of good information there that I was able to kind of bring back and share, only to find out that we're already doing a lot of this stuff, which was good. So I also attended Jackson's Limousine as they gave away 12,000 turkeys to people in the community. That was a couple of days before Thanksgiving. I also attended Coffee with a Cop at McDonald's on Artesia and Western with my colleague, Councilmember Kaskanian. I also attended El Pola Inca's their Thanksgiving turkey dinner, free turkey dinner, that was hosted not only by El Pola Inca, but also by the Lions Club. I also attended the funeral services of Ms. Vancil Burkett, who was a longtime resident and of the city of Gardena, and also a member of the Kashmir Gatekeepers Neighborhood Watch meeting. I also attended the Winter Wonderland here in the city, and I just have to comment, everybody is still talking about that. That was a phenomenal event. I also attended the new Gardena Business Economic Business Committee meeting that was just formed. I attended that meeting, and I was also the keynote speaker at the South Bay Realtors Association on December 1st, and that was another great meeting as well, too, where I spoke to the real estate agents in the South Bay area. I also participated in my Mayor's Challenge on the first Saturday of December here at Raleigh Park, Freeman Park, and we had a nice turnout there, so I want to encourage everybody to please continue coming out every first Saturday. The next day I did the Shop with a Cop at Target, and I want to thank our police department for what they do throughout the year, as well as just being able to partner with Target and giving away gift cards so that young people could pick out their own Christmas gift, which was really nice. I also attended a finance committee meeting. Also attended Coffee with the Chief that was hosted by our Assembly member, Al Marsucci. And last Thursday, I attended the Boys and Girls Club as they have their annual breakfast where they select their Student of the Year. Later on that afternoon, I attended the YWCA's end of the year Christmas celebration party for their board members. I also attended the Gardena Holly Park Homeowners Association Christmas party, and that particular night they awarded scholarships to, I believe it was 3 individuals, and throughout the year they've been raising money. This was their first year that they've actually had a scholarship program, so it was really nice to see young people from the community be able to receive money for college. I also attended the following day, the Second Time Around Clubs, their 20th annual Christmas luncheon, and I also installed their new officers for 2018. And since this is our last meeting of the year, I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank all of our employees for just doing a great job this year. I know this was a very challenging year for us. A lot of changes that happened here. We had a city manager that retired. We acquired a new acting city manager. We also got a new deputy chief. We also had 2 new council members come on board, as well as a new mayor. So I just appreciate, the employees for just staying focused and just doing a great job throughout the entire year. So to my colleagues, thank you guys for, we work great together here, and I hope that just continues on and on and on. So I just want to say thank you to you guys as well. And lastly, I would just like to add the name Arturo Frazier to our adjournment. He unfortunately was killed in a car accident on Sunday night. Next, we're going to go on to Mayor Pro Tem Medina.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since our last meeting, I attended the Lions Thanksgiving dinner, which our mayor attended, and also attended the Boys and Girls Club meeting where we voted to have Anahi Gomez become the Student of the Year. I attended the Metropolitan Bus Regional Council along with Ernie Crespo, and we're looking at some new revisions of the Metropolitan bus lines, which are positive. I also attended the Southern California Association of Governments, and I'm on the Transportation Committee, and for those of you who saw the report earlier today, one thing that was omitted about the $1 trillion that's being spent, most of the money was garnered from Measure R, Measure D, and about 6 other measures that are brought in by the state, and the local tax will be like 0.5% when it comes to tuition in 2039. So the numbers are exaggerated a little bit, but the total amount will be by 2039, and that's one of the reasons why the Southern California Association of Governments decided to go that route, because it's going to be an ongoing tax as it builds up. I also attended the Gardena Police Department's partnership with Target, gave away $6,100 certificates to 60 children, and it gave my heart a real good feeling when this one kid had some toys, but he also had some blankets and some pajamas, and that's like, well, what about the toys? Well, my brothers and sisters need some stuff, and it just warms your heart when you see that, because they weren't thinking of themselves only; they were thinking of the rest of the family. So my hats off to the PD and also to Target for joining with us. It's a real good feeling. And along with our mayor and Councilman Tanaka, we saw all these kids just running up and down the aisles getting toys and whatever they wanted for $100 worth. I mean, when I was 9 years old, $100, that was like $1 million. Anyway, I also got a chance to deliver cakes to 6 convalescent homes, which I do at the end of every month. And this next one coming up in 2 weeks will be great, because it's right after right after Christmas, so not only will they have their cake, but they get to eat it. I also played Santa Claus for the Veterans Children's Christmas Party here at Nakaoka, and I also had to play 2 roles, the DJ and play Santa. The sad part is I don't use a pillow anymore, so 200 kids are just, they benefited from a lot of presents from the VA, our local VA right here on Redondo Beach Boulevard and Vermont. I also played Santa for the Rotary for the Carson Closet Daycare Center, which we gave out about 300 toys. And I'm glad I didn't have a pillow because some of those kids are pretty big. I also attended the Santa Fe Springs Veterans Christmas Party that was held in downtown LA. And I want to thank the Veterans Association for having me there, because I was the keynote speaker there with regards to Vietnam veterans. And I want to wish everyone Feliz Navidad, Merry Christmas, Melikiliki Maka, and all that other good stuff. So have a merry everything. Thank you.
Okay, just two quick announcements here. Do you have something else?
I'm sorry, I forgot one big thing. For those of you who are still here, today is, well, tomorrow, but we're going to celebrate today our acting city manager's birthday party. So stick around. We have lots of cake. So we'll join you on the side.
Okay, so now we have one announcement. It's okay. It's okay. So on this coming Friday, December 15th, Blink Fitness will be doing their grand opening. So please come out and join us this coming Friday, December 15th at 12 noon. They will have a couple of giveaways, and I don't remember exactly the number of giveaways. It was several of free memberships for 1 year. So a lot of fun. My understanding is that there are going to be a lot of people out there, but we'll have the opportunity to take a tour of the facility and just participate in the grand opening. So with that, we're going to move on to adjournments here. Tonight we're going to be adjourning in memory of Mr. James Edward Duffy, who was 97 years of age and a longtime resident of Gardena. An ace pilot and lieutenant commander who served with the U.S. Navy in World War II, and the beloved husband of Councilmember Emeritus Gwen Duffy, who served in the City Council from 1982 to 1999. We're also going to be adjourning in memory of Mr. Andy Burrell, who was 92 years old and a former City of Gardena fire chief for over 15 years, who retired in 1992 after serving a total of 37 years with the Gardena Fire Department. We're also adjourning in memory of Mr. Agonio Albino, who worked for the Public Works Department as a heavy equipment operator and retired on September 10th, 1992, after 28 years of city service. We're also going to be adjourning in memory of Mr. Michael A. Tucker, who was 58 years of age, longtime Gardena resident and active member of the Cashmere Gatekeepers Neighborhood Watch Club. We're also adjourning in memory of Mr. Moses Williams, Sr., who was 92 years old and a longtime resident of Gardena and a longtime member of the Cashmere Gatekeepers Neighborhood Watch Club. We're also adjourning in memory of Mrs. Vonsil Burkett, who was 62 years old and a longtime Gardena resident and a longtime member of the Cashmere Gatekeepers Neighborhood Watch Club. We're also going to be adjourning in memory of Mr. Harold E. Love, who was 49 years of age, a beloved employee with the City of Gardena Transportation Department, who was hired on November 10th, 2005, and served in the position of lead mechanic. We're also adjourning in memory of Mr. Dominique Vincent Hernandez, who was 21 years old. He was the beloved grandson of Arthur and Darlene Castillo. Dominique was active for many years in the City of Gardena Sports League and was currently attending Fullerton Junior College. We're also going to be adjourning in memory of Mr. Arturo Denier Frazier, who was an up-and-coming politician in the city of Compton. So at this time, the City of Gardena will adjourn from its regular scheduled City Council meeting to our next regularly scheduled City Council meeting, which will be on 7 p.m. on Tuesday, January 9, 2018. We're adjourned, and I'd like to ask everybody if you can please join us in the back as we sing Happy Birthday to our acting city manager and enjoy some cake. Thank you.